Well, there was a slaughterfest on Villa in favour of Wildcard over Elevate. They take the series 2-0 as we come back from the break. Though, now coming up, it's going to be Kanga versus Ferox. A lot of eyes on this series. Kanga still yet to find a map win this entire season of 6 Masters. Some believe this is going to be their best opportunity to do just that. Of course, the lovely Dev Mata. James, do you think this could be the case? I saw your snowball predictions.
I guess draw for every match this week. You know, partly for fun, but also because it's plausible. 0. I'm 3 out of 4 incorrect so far, so I really hope Kanga and Ferox draw this game, so at least I have some semblance of pride remaining. But I mean, talking about Kanga, right? They haven't won a game in 6 Masters. They also haven't won a game in Pro League last season, with the exception of one map that they won. Funnily enough, it was against Wildcard of all teams, but it was on Bank, which is a map that's no longer in the map pool, and this was also way back in January. So TLDR, Kanga haven't won a map since January. That's a bit of a feels bad for them, I'm not going to lie. But if there's any point where they're going to actually get a map on the board, in my eyes, it's got to be here against Ferox or against LFO next week.
Yeah, and a lot of people saying that this is going to be potentially Kanga's best opportunity. Ferox, you know, eyes on them wise, they're second last on the standings. We were speaking a little bit during our short break in the interval that it's a bit deceiving, right? They've got a lot. In fact, out of every single team, they've still got the most matches remaining to be played. You beat Kanga here 2-0. And then you've got a massive, massive matchup against Sinister the following week. After that, they could then very well find themselves in a series against LFO in that final playday. Determining the winner of that could then make top 4. So Ferox are in a prime position here. As long as they take care of Kanga and do decently enough against Sinister to give themselves still a chance for top 4. So if you're a top 4 team, I hate to say it, but you definitely can't be losing to Kanga here in any fashion.
Yeah, and the thing is, every team other than Kanga has basically got a shot at those top 4. So it's really a question of who loses to Kanga. And if anyone loses to Kanga, that's probably your chances of getting top 4 gone. So let's have a look at Kanga, this team that we're talking so much about. This is the team that, I mean, a lot of people are being really highly critical of these guys. But let's remember, they went into this season on the back of getting 2 of their best players poached by 2 of the best teams in this league, Elevate, who picked up Worthy, and Wildcard, who picked up Pat. So these guys have just been dealing with the hand that keeps running away from them.
Yeah, 100%. And look, they've got a new addition, if you want to remind me how to say. Is it Nova X? Nova X.
Nova X, apparently.
Nova X, yeah. Apparently, which I think we theorized that might be incorrect, but hey, if you want, however you want to call yourself, is however you want to call yourself.
It's his name, mate. He gets his name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. He gets free reign, okay? So we have to just go with what he says. But he made his debut last week, Dev, and now backing it up here this week against Ferox. Definitely eyes on him, seeing as to how he's going to perform for this Kanga lineup. I don't want to put too much pressure on the lad. I'm sure he's going to do great. From what I saw of his debut, he was great, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's his debut into high-level competitive games. I mean, he's played for comp teams in the past, but nothing at the pro level. I do want to say that Spruce told us earlier in the tech testing we were doing that he's not going to shave until they win a map. So hopefully he gets to shave tonight because he's looking a bit rustic.
Yeah, definitely a bit of 5 o'clock shadow happening there. I mean, I don't know when he started that. I actually should have asked him if that started
we'll ask
prior. Yeah, we can ask him after. Although, who knows? Maybe if Kanga get a map win here against Ferox, maybe he can shave it live in the interview himself. It's not that big. We're making it sound like he's got some giant, dangerous, like, grizzly bear beard. As we have a look at Ferox, yeah, we've mentioned it. We've said it. They've got a still massive opportunity to make top 4. It's in their grasps. They've got to get the job here tonight. Make sure that they at least don't slip up against Kanga. They can rest the AZ, prepare for next week in what will be a very big series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Team Ferox here, they've had some great performances, even in games that they've lost, right? I mean, we can talk about their matches against Wildcard in particular, who we know they're in top form at the moment. But These guys pushed them to their limits on Consulate 7-8, and nearly took that away from them, and we saw how good Wildcard were on Consulate tonight. And then on Clubhouse, which is another one of Wildcard's great maps, Ferox only edged away and lost 5-7. So these guys have had really good form despite dropping a few games. They've also taken maps off other great teams like Okami and Elevate and Knights. So there's a lot to be said here for Ferox. And we were saying this before, these guys are definitely contenders for those top 4 spots, despite currently sitting in 7th place.
Yeah, I mean, we keep saying that. In terms of their results recently, you know, their loss against Elevate on Border now looks a bit poorer after what we just saw in the last match against Wildcard for Elevate. As we go and have a look at the maps that are going to be banned out. And Kanga take away Theme Park, Ferox take away Cafe. We actually were discussing the maps off air earlier, and we were saying that for this series, we really had no idea. Both teams have picked and banned just about almost every single map at least once. They've been a bit all over the place without having a specific, say, insta-ban map or an insta-pick map.
Yeah, and Kangaroo have never banned Theme Park in Ferox. Let's check Cafe. They have banned it once, but the theme back ban is funny from me because Kangaroo actually picked it against Wildcard and got smacked 7-0. So maybe it's just that embarrassment from their game 2 rounds ago. They just don't want to get and repeat. So let's have a look. Coastline picked out for Kanga. Interesting, dangerous one. And Clubhouse picked for Ferox. I just want to loop back for 1 second and talk about that Ferox ban of Cafe. The closest that Kanga has gotten to any map victories have exclusively been on Cafe, where they lost to Sinister 7-8 last week, and previously also 8-6 to Okami. So Ferox are just getting rid of Kanga's best map, which forces Kanga to change their tack a little bit.
But the other thing as well, you know, the pick from Ferox, not a surprise. They've picked it 3 out of 4 times now. So when I misspoke when I said that there was no sort of insta-pick. Well, that really is the insta-pick for Ferox. So that's where maybe I would have thought we might have seen Kanga ban out Clubhouse. They have picked and played Clubhouse before prior. 2-7 loss to Knights. I mean, you look at any map that Kanga played, unfortunately, this season, they are all losses. But that was a map maybe they could have banned it out. Still, regardless, we've had our predictions. We're very much in the side of Ferox for tonight. We want to hear, though, what you guys think this series is going to go. 60% feeling it's going to be Ferox taking the 2-0. There are a couple in the side of Kanga's camp, 20%, and then the other 20% for a draw. So really, if you look at it, it's kind of like 60-40 dev in terms of either Ferox getting the win or Kanga finally getting on the board.
I respect that. A lot of people have hope for Kanga. I think also a lot of people just really like the Kanga logo. So that's why they get a couple of votes as well. I got to say, if I start reading into the maps that we're actually going to see, which is Coastline, which Kanga picked, and Clubhouse, which Ferox picked. Let's talk Coastline for a second, right? Last time Kanga played this was against Wildcard. They lost it 2-7. Last time they played Clubhouse, they lost it 2-7 tonight. So we have some pretty significant losses for Kanga. On the flip side, Ferox beat Okami on Coastline 6-8. And lost to them on Clubhouse 7-8. So definitely a lot of possibilities here.
Big possibility that Kanga may find their first map win. It's going to happen. You think it's going to happen tonight. Coastline is their map pick. No better chance and time than now. FHLG says Spruce. Of course, the cheeky guy, as he always is. For Ferox, you've got to make sure that they're not too complacent here in this matchup against Kanga, who last week were able to take Sinister into that 7-8 on Cafe, surprising many. And if they play that sort of style and that, you know, and play that well against a team like Ferox, they could very well have the 8-7 in their favor. Nomad's going to be our first ban out. The second to follow will be the Habana. And again, we aren't going to see the Ying get banned. That ban rate has definitely come to a grinding halt.
I would love to see it get a bit of play here. It would be really explosive, especially on Coastline, one of the most frag-centric maps, really. It's all about moving around and a lot of tight positioning, and especially with the Nomad out of here means that it really enables a lot of aggressive play from the defenders. That Hibana ban means that you have a little bit more freedom to play in Cocktail when defending Hookah. That's the primary reason you would bring a Hibana, is to counter that, open up that wall. Potentially you could also use it to open the sauna wall near the Sunrise Bar. Mira banned out, no Spanish lady in the server today, and Pulse, which has actually been 100% ban rate tonight, right? That's crazy. That's so unusual.
Yeah, It definitely is unusual. The bands have been unusual tonight. Some of the map picks have been unusual tonight as well. You know, we saw the Villa map pick between Elevate and Wildcard come out when we definitely didn't think we were going to go there. Boat's going to stay on this Lion. I think I've only seen Lion once since I've started casting this season of Six Masters, which was a few weeks ago. And, well, it looks like Boats is going to stick with it here on Coastline, as Blue and Sunrise will be where we're heading. First up, here, the first round of this second series of the night. Kanga versus Ferox will get us underway now here on Coastline.
Attackers need to locate and
Well, if there's any way you're going to bring out the Lion, it would be on Coastline, where you can really suppress that mobility. I mentioned how the Nomad is banned. Lion, I mean, it's not exactly the same thing, but they're both operators that prevent aggression. Lion is often good. The way you might use it is if you're going in for a push and you get a kill, pop that Lion device straight away and try to prevent that refrag from the defenders. And Ferox clearly want to play aggressively here on their defense. That's the reason for banning that Nomad. So Kanga needs to ensure they don't get caught off guard.
5 seconds left.
What are you expecting to see out of Kanga here on Coastline? It's their map pick. They've got some funky picks. The Lion from Boats, for example. Do they play super aggressive, or do they keep it a bit composed, I guess?
Well, I mean, I mentioned here that Kanga only won 2 rounds against Wildcard, which was the last time they played this map, and that was when Kanga... Actually, no, sorry. Wildcard picked that one. And then Ferox won this just 2 rounds ago against Okami. It was a close 8-6, so Kanga do have information from that VOD to go off, but hopefully Kanga are going into this with a little bit of counter strategy and a little bit of confidence, because that's definitely what Kanga needs right now.
Had the exact same bans as well in that matchup, so potentially a line of thinking. Okay, Wildcard's a great team. They've been playing impeccably well this season. Ferox, well, maybe they doubt their abilities a bit. We'll see if that backfires, but if Kanga are going to have the same playstyle as they brought against Wildcard here on Coastline, look, they didn't play that horribly. You mentioned 2-7. If you actually even go further than that onto the theme park, where they got 7-0'd, their first 3 rounds on theme park were actually really close. Like 50-50s, they had the 3-2 advantage both times. They played well on Coastline too for quite a few of those rounds. Just Wildcard were able to execute a bit better. Gruesome finds an opening frag here in the first round. And it should allow Kanga a bit easier of an entry towards Ferox at Blue and Sunrise.
Good control here for Kanga. Not a lot of contest from Ferox. On a map like this, information gathering is king, and Deptra shut down. Leb trades out Warden after finding that pick onto Novakes, and straight on the back of it, the Lion charge. That EE1D roars out to suppress any attempt at a refrag. Still, Kanga in the numbers advantage, and now starting to execute. Opening up angles down into Sunrise to locate these defenders. Still a minute to go. Ooh, that's a player spotted out in office. This might be a free kill.
Easier said than done, though, in terms of the execution. Campo over at Hallways able to find shade. This is going perfectly for Kanga right now. Starting well.
Oh, Todd's position gets revealed on that run out. Yeah, and he got spotted, and now the Lion charge, that EE1D rings out, so Ferox would be batted into the corner here. Kanga, 30 seconds. Can Sushi make a play?
Well, Sushi's the one where they didn't quite know where his position was. Over at Cool Vibes, the fact that they knew where Todd was meant they could push straight onto the site. Leb actually cancelled the defuse. Now he's going to go for it again. Sushi did find Campo. Fortunately, Spruce Vlav over towards Cool Vibes is going to be accurate with his shots. Now in a 1 versus 3 for Todd. Man who went for the run out earlier on. I don't think he's going to run into much of a success. That's fine, Leb. 1v2 is not impossible. Back over to Cool Vibes, but only 30 seconds left, James.
Oh, no. Bruce caught with his pants down, gives Todd another lick in, but 22 seconds going for this run out. He's going to get spotted. No way he wins this, so low on HP. Both.
No way.
He's just going to run away, not giving him any opportunity. Surely this isn't possible, and there you go. Boats to close it out. Kanga, we've hyped them up a lot, but they've started strong here on their map pick.
It's their map pick. They're going to start well. A couple of the opening frags got a bit messy towards the end. Todd played well with the hand that he was dealt. You know, to be fair, he ran out himself. He caused his own demise in that regard, but he played it well from that point onwards. Repositioning and, well, maybe Kanga just a little bit overzealous in trying to find him and spot him out. Still, the Lion definitely effective. You mentioned wanting to gain information here on Coastline. Can do that at times. Not definitely not as powerful as Lion used to be, though, which is why we don't really see it too often.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Yeah, but I mean, it was decent usage from boats there in that previous round. Just putting Ferox under the pump at all times. And looks like the defenders will change up their bomb site choice and rotate over to hookah and billiards. Pretty common bomb site choice, but Coastline is a map where you can really pick any bomb site. Maybe Penthouse, not so much in the comp setting, but I'd like to see from Ferox more successful information gathering, because last round Todd going for that run out, if that was timed based on information that he knew there was a player out there, then I mean that would be huge. That would make such a difference. He would be able to use that info to get a frag, but so far we need to see some. Oh, this Valkyrie camera is going to get spotted out. Oh no, the player flicked off their drone, so they won't see that. Unfortunate. This information gathering is going to be essential for Ferox to win the round.
I say unfortunate, but it's also then fortunate for Deptra. So the way you want to look at it, either side, it's either fortunate or unfortunate, depending on where your allegiances lie, who you're sort of wanting to win. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of neutrals who would be definitely rooting for Kanga in this setup. Almost every week, you got people who just want them to finally get a win, finally get away from 0 and 10, and at least make it 1 and 10 for the moment in time. They've made a good start here on Coastline, but starts don't tell the whole story. Deptra roaming around. The Lion charge is going to come out with the E1D. Doesn't find anything though. 2 minutes remaining.
Good info gathered from Kanga. Not sure what info Ferox have. We saw Spruce droning Leb into Sunrise previously. A lot of horizontal pressure from below. But of course, this is not where the bomb site is. I hope Leb spotted that Valkyrie camera, the black eye that we saw thrown out into Sunrise. Otherwise, Kanga would have Ferox would have full info on where Kanga are. Shots through the floor, exchanged between Shade and Leb, but no kills thus far. Half the round down, and not a lot of progress made for Kanga on executing the actual bomb site. That said, Novex to find one. Deptra elsewhere does get Campo, but there's an opening here for Novex if he wants to take it.
Considering his health, though, don't want to just rush him blazingly. Does have the freezer in hand. Love the patience. Generally, it's a virtue. Minute and 10 seconds remaining. Novex straight into the hot seat, if you will. And he's handling it really well here on Coastline. One more E1D charge will be played out from boats. Now Novex can push onto site. He can play it if he wants to. But he's expecting a peek, a pre-fire through that wall to come through. Still 3 up for Ferox. Kanga have started really well here. Can they capitalize on this second round? 45 seconds remaining. Leb putting out so much pressure here.
Spruce trying to find these players at Cocktail through the floor, but hasn't found anything yet. Looks like the execute to come out. Novex hands that diffuser over to his teammate, and he's taken so low on HP, but still up. The spotter on blue, player on blue stairs is spotted out, and changing who has the diffuser, but these gas canisters could spell death for Kanga. 20 seconds left. Ferox takes out Novex, 2 players for them, but there is another one. It's all on Leb now, and things have fallen apart. A few seconds left, and surely there's no chance this is going to happen for Kanga. Leb trying to push in a desperate attempt. Caught in the crossfire, nothing he can do about it. Ferox to close out that round.
You just wonder if Kanga maybe just overthought their situation. Maybe they had a bit of an easier time than they truly believed. Novex was on site. Could have planted. Was really worried about the sort of pre-fire coming through. Didn't come. Regardless, though, credit to Ferox. Didn't panic. Sometimes you give a little, but then you take a lot, and they were able to do that towards the end. Tie it up 1-1. Both still sticking with this Lion. Not sure how much it's really finding, although it does just keep them still for the short time period
Attackers need to
of that
locate and
charge.
defuse bombs.
So
Attackers have located
Ferox
bombs.
getting back into it, and they're going to go kitchen. No reattempts at Sunrise. Kanga looked a bit lost there. They really struggled to clear that position of pipes, which proved to be the power position. It was Sushi on the smoke. We remarked upon multiple players from Kanga low on HP after earlier engagements, and Smoke is the player. You want to lie on the defense when your attackers are low.
Insertion.
A couple of inhalations of that gas, and I mean, they're no more.
5 seconds remaining.
Proved to be very powerful. Kanga needs to be able to eliminate these power positions.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
They've looked good though so far, Kanga. They're going to maintain their current form. You lose one, that's okay. And Coastline, probably the sort of map where you only need to essentially get probably 3.
Attackers have located a bomb.
If you can go 3-3 at the half, Kanga can then feel confident going into their defense. Obviously a long way to go here, as Avax will rappel up to that second floor now, drone through. Take control of second floor, make your way from there. That seems to be the plan for Kanga here in round 3.
Of course, a lot of this floor above the bomb site is soft, where Boats and Campo and Novax are droning currently. So once they make their way inside, breaching charges and the skeleton key can tear up this floor and find players on site and eliminate these core positions. It's textbook 101 stuff here. Leb just ensuring that there's no possible information gathering. Oh no, the pre-placed C4 is blown, and that costs Bruce his life. Good information gathering there from Ferox. Leb, unfortunately, not able to counter that. His teammate pays for it.
I was waiting for you to mention the C4 game. You didn't quite bring it up. Todd brought it up for you, though. Something that has to be contended with this first floor position. Leb can make his own holes in the floor as well. Not going to find anyone on site there, though. Minute and 20 seconds left. Kanga haven't really been able to flush out Ferox just yet. Not a lot of information gained. Running out of time. Ferox have definitely woken up a bit after that sloppy first round. They're looking more prominent here. Straight into the goo mine for Campo. Still going to check downwards here. Sprays, expecting maybe a push, expecting someone close by because of the goo mine. Just keeps walking through. Doesn't care. And the EE1D will go out. Shade will find Novax though, and it's still all going the way of Ferox in this third round.
Campo desperately pushing in from lobby. 2 of his teammates have fallen now, with Novax going down.
Attackers recovered
What
the bomb.
opportunity is there for Kanga? That first E1D didn't really have a lot of effect. And now Kanga just over 30 seconds remaining, and they still haven't found a single pick. No real progress, no opportunity to execute. Team Ferox completely in control. That might be a pick there. Just can't land the shots. The Lion charge to go out. That EE1D to capture it, and it's Campo to persevere through, pushing in. He gets 1 kill. Gumine in his foot. What can he do about it? Spots out the Geiger, gets the injure as well. Campo going massive, but he'll need to do a lot more than that to keep his team in the game. It's on Leb. He does find another one. He can get another one there. It's a 1 versus 1 all of a sudden. It'll have a plant. 7 seconds is the plant. No doubt Todd can secure this one with the knife, and there you have it. Ferox close out that game. Bit too close for comfort.
Doesn't matter how you win them, as long as you get the wins on the board. Ferox able to do that in round 3. As you said, close for comfort. Credit to Leb towards the end. Definitely didn't give up on that, despite how things were tracking. Losing Spruce so early to that pre-play C4 made it very difficult for Kanga. Yeah, they didn't waver though. They kept pushing through. They kept being aggressive. We saw Campo step on the goo mine, still push through those main stairs, downwards into lobby, expecting someone to maybe capitalize on that mine. So they're playing a bit aggressive, finding kills. Kanga have looked good here. Definitely better than what we last saw from them, for me and you, on that theme park game against Wildcard and Coastline, where it was, what, 7-0, 7-2? They're being competitive, and that's the step in the right direction for this team. Is just being competitive.
Yeah, they don't look too bad on Coastline. Just a couple things need to be tightened up. Like you mentioned, losing Spruce early just really made Kanga. Not only did they have a numbers deficit, which of course makes a difference in the last few moments when, and throughout the round, you have one less player to do anything, but there was a lot of utility in Spruce's pocket with that skeleton key that wasn't able to be capitalized upon. And Leb had to do all of that soft breach himself. Perhaps Kanga could have leveraged that to more success had Spruce still been alive, but I digress. We move over here to Blue Bar and Sunrise once again. A Valkyrie camera thrown outside by Deptra. That black eye will have vision on the hookah balcony. Another black eye placed here inside Sunrise. Where is the push from Kanga going to mount? Previously, they took control of hookah, looked down through the floor. Oh, Spruce, just a spray through the wall from Sauna, and Sushi is captured off guard. That's an essential pick, that one. Huge play, as it's the smoke off the board. No more late round denial.
He was the first one to go down in the last round. He finds Sushi this round. Bit of payback from Spruce. Even if it's not at the target who killed him, he'll still take it every day of the week. Kanga now have a numerical advantage. Couldn't even finish the sentence before they lost it. Now it's all tied up and Spruce goes down early again, just prior to the 2-minute mark. Well, that was a short-lived sort of victory dance for Spruce. And Kanga are not going to have the buck here again.
And that's the power of those Valkyrie cameras. Enabling that run out from Shade. Ooh, here's an opportunity for Leb to find this one. Just completely trapped. How do you win that fight, Warden? You never, ever meant to win that fight. But Warden just does. Is he good for more, though? Holding on. Can he take out boats? Surely not. Finally, is shut down. Kanga can breathe easy for a bit longer, but numbers may be even. That said, Kanga short on the soft breach utility. They want to open up the floor and expose the positions of Ferox on the bomb site. And they'll have to figure out another way to attack this.
Still 2 more charges of the AE1D for boats on the line. 1 minute remaining. Breach utility may not be the best, but they've still got the ability to sort of keep Ferox grounded as they can push in, gain control of rooms and positions. Novaix. Tough times. He had his debut last week, but as I mentioned, straight into the thick of it here against Ferox. Diffuser in hand once again. They trust him with it. 40 seconds left. Deptra holds his position, and all he can do is wait and see who pushes in through Sunrise. I think there's one more EE1D after this. Campo gets Shade. 2 versus 1 now. Deptra gets to get the double. He gets the first one. Soft wall, no, never mind. Pushed through the door. Did Boats. And Kanga tie it up after 4 rounds.
The second round, it's gone down to a 1v1 at the end of it. I don't know how this is happening. Bit of an XD chucked in chat there. Cheers, Boats. Always appreciate a bit of an XD.
Wow, BM.
Yeah, well, I feel like there were a lot of opportunities there that Ferox made for themselves and that Kanga got to be face-palming about. For one, that first pick to refrag Spruce was just that Valkyrie camera that was thrown outside. It was right in Spruce's face. He was just a bit too tunnel vision to see it. And if you can't just look for the Valkyrie cameras, blind, then you need to use that IQ electronics detector. And if Leb's not going to be doing that, then Ferox is going to take advantage and go for those runouts.
And defuse as many bombs as they can.
On top of that, the fact that Warden was able to do what he did in Aqua, that's just going to bewilder me. I have no idea.
We're all tied up though, going into this 5th round. Both teams have looked good various times. As we get closer to this half though, it's 3-3. If it does go to 3-3, who's sort of the winner of that, right? Here on Coastline, attack, defense side. Who would you feel more comfortable sort of then backing going into the next half?
Probably the whoever was on defense. Attack is somewhat favored on Coastline. It does depend, but it's because it's such a small map and there are so many open angles that the attackers can get. Very claustrophobic if you're a defender. Don't have a lot of mobility. That does tend to make it favorable to the attacking side. So Ferox would be pretty happy with a 3-3 split at the half. Kanga really do have to run away with this. If you recall, in the previous round, the only reason they had a man advantage was because Spruce randomly sprayed through a wall and killed the smoke. That's just something that's not going to happen every day, every round.
We keep saying that, but yeah, we still see these early picks, and you may not get him in that position again, but you may find someone on your team may find someone else in a similar manner. How you get it is how you take it. Doesn't matter. You get that opening pick, you get the opening pick. There's no two ways about it. The VX will drone through office. 2 minutes. Kanga have been pretty good for time as well. There hasn't really ever been too many situations where there's like 15 seconds remaining and all 4 or 5 push in. A lot of duels early on. A lot of players getting picked early on into these fights. Warden just above an aquarium, 2nd floor. Hatch is open. The Kanga are aware of this, and they're going to make sure that they don't give him an option. But this is decent. Can run out, I would assume, through the door or can drop down the hatch. There's a few options here for Warden going forward in this round.
That said, as soon as they start to have presence on this balcony, he may get trapped in here. Leb and Noveix ready. Boats to throw a drone in as well. Noveix doing his best worm impression.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Did they drone him in? I don't think they did.
I'm not sure, actually. I didn't see a drone go through. Perhaps there was a pest on the door. Ooh, an angle there from top right. Oh, no! Completely punished there. Warden somehow gets that. Dropping downstairs, and he gets away free. Deptra was taken out, however, by Leb, so it's even in the man count, but Ferox still doing pretty well with Warden allowed to creep on this round.
Recovered the diffuser.
I feel like if they had been able to drone him out in that position as well, he probably would have just dropped down the hatch and fallen back and given it up. And then roamed from that first floor. Could have been the case. 40 seconds remaining now in a 4 versus 4. I did say prior to this that they've usually been pretty good for time. They have pushed to aquarium now as Kanga. Sushi's going to be able to respond to this push though. Todd for Ferox, a bit slow going through a hallway. Back over to aquarium we go. I believe final EE1D. If not, there's one more. Yes, there is one more for Boros, who is low. Very low. Now he maybe just about to fall over soon. 2v2, 10 seconds remaining. He does fall over to Sushi Smoke. And Spruce has got a lot to do here. Doesn't have the diffuser. Not going to be able to get there in time. And is not going to be able to find the kills onto Todd and Sushi. Ferox take the lead once again here. Round 5 is done.
It's a bit messy, but Ferox are getting it across the line here. That timer just not enough for Kanga. Really stalling out on that aquarium push. The fact that Warden was even allowed to get 1 kill is pretty ridiculous. If they had droned him out and he decided to drop down the hatch, surely someone from Kanga could have just watched that from the safety of outside. But Ferox's crossfires and their positioning is just too much for Kanga to deal with. And even with that line, they can't suppress these rotations from Ferox.
Back to kitchen and service. And for Ferox, an opportunity now to take a 4-2 lead into the half, going into their attacking side. When you made the call, Dev, you said Coastline's maybe slightly attacking favored. Kanga have kind of shown that, though, to a degree. They've pushed in early. They're usually getting onto site with around 30, 40 seconds remaining. It hasn't been a struggle getting in there with the final seconds ticking down. The problem is they're losing players early on. And as you said, it's usually quite messy if Ferox are able to respond, and while respond, they have been able to do so far. 3-2 in favor of Ferox going into this final round of the half.
And we talked about maybe being on the attack is in the advantage here, so Kanga need to step up. If Ferox end this half 4-2 their way, I have no doubt they'll have some strong attacks and really put it to Kanga.
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
We return back to kitchen. Last time Ferox played this, it really started with just a successful C4 through the floor. Deptra, Valkyrie camera to assist with the placement of C4s, but once again, an early pick. And that was just, again, caught off on a rotation there. Todd wasn't even trying to go for an aggressive peek. Kanga, if you've learned anything, it's always spray through windows in the first 20 seconds of the round, because sometimes you'll find a kill.
Yeah, I mean, well, sometimes you will. Most times you probably won't, but in this case, does get Todd. Doesn't mean that it's going to be easy though for Kanga. Still a lot of time, and considering how Kanga have been generally
Attackers have located a bomb.
quite able to clear out this second floor at kitchen site, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Ferox can find a C4 kill at some point. It helped them last time on this first floor site hold. It's a big part of it, considering how much presence you expect to see from Kanga on the second floor above.
Remember that Kanga haven't successfully attacked this bomb site yet. The only bomb site they've successfully won is Blue Bar Sunrise. Ferox have just been too good on these other two bomb sites. But of course, that numbers advantage does help. That early free kill. Shade holding behind the lobby desk. Spotted out by Campo. This is such a difficult angle to attack, though, when someone's hiding behind that desk. Just waiting for the angle to be exposed, but wait a second. Leb's in the bomb site. Novax is planting. What is this? But Ferox find these kills. This still could be salvaged for Kanga, and Boats does get one. Another one for him. It's a 3 versus 2 now, and Ferox have to retake.
This is a massive opportunity. Boat stays alive. Now he can get off another E1D. Shots back towards Shade. He's able to avoid them. Dodges back through the doorway. And then Kanga have just won the round in a very quick fashion. Mostly thanks to Boats. Campo Novax also coming in clutch. We end the half tied 3-3.
I feel like that plant crept up on me as much as it crept up on Ferox. Did you see that coming? Because I had no idea that was about
I
to
saw it all the
happen.
way. I was wondering, what are you
Sure
talking
you
about,
did.
Dev? Come on. Yeah.
Sure you did, mate. Sure. Also, I said Novax, or no, I didn't say Novax. I'm sad now. I apologize, Novax. It's just hard to say fast, you know?
Well, if you've just joined us, we're halfway through this first match on Coastline between Kanga and Ferox. The map pick of Kanga. They're only 4 rounds away from potentially finding their first map win of the season. Earlier on tonight, we had a very interesting one-sided affair between Wildcard and Elevate. Wildcard taking that 2-0 pretty comfortably. Not too much of an issue. That was on Consulate and Villa. So this is our final 2 matches, or 2 maps, I should say, of the night. Halfway through Coastline now as Ferox go over to the attack.
Spruce did 6-pick off of the Echo onto Doc. But unusual to pick the Doc. Echo is, you know, quite strong. And when left unbanned, highly recommended to be used. But of course, these stim pistols can also come in handy, and Spruce looks like he's actually going for a spawn peek. Wants to run out service door. Let's have a look. Going for this really wide peek. Does he see player? No. Coming from the pool side. There were 2 players who spawned there, but they didn't go too fast. Spruce doesn't get that pick.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Shade playing the Jackal. Getting that information, roamers and Coastline common. We saw it from Ferox on their defense. Kanga elected for the Lion, but Jackal's probably the more prominent pick here. We'll see how Shade plays it out here in their half. Sledge. So quite a few different operator picks for Ferox on their attack. For Wamai as well for Boats, and you mentioned the Doc and the run out for Spruce. So both sides electing for very different compositions. 2 minutes. Main thing though we saw from Kanga was that they were being able to get onto the site with a lot of time remaining. Can Ferox achieve the same thing here?
And remember that bomb site is Sunrise and Blue Bars. Ooh, Ferox making some good progress here. Todd, careful. A nade goes out through the drone hole. Does light up that player. He's trying to destroy that shield at least. But no progress as of yet. Boats get stimmed up as well. That's one of the benefits of that stim pistol. Back up to full HP. Shade trying to clear out this position behind the lobby desk, but it's so difficult. And Novax can sit pretty for now.
And Kanga as a whole can sit pretty for now. Right now, a minute and 18 seconds. And then when Boats finds an opening fight that makes things easier, pretty sure that's a dead body, Sushi. You'll it's all right. Just falling over. Let him be. He's already had enough.
Drop the diffuser.
Drops the diffuser to go for a bit more of an aggressive peek. This player sitting at cool vibes behind this shield that Sushi does know someone's in there, but he's also wary that he's going to get peeked from cool vibes. Now pushes in, super aggressive play. Still unable to actually get this elimination onto Boats. Shade, is he wary of the fact that there's Spruce on cool vibes? He is. 3 versus 2 here. Ferox bringing it back after a slow start. Kanga found the early picks. But Ferox have got control of the second floor now, still with 40 seconds to go to 2 versus 3.
Not impossible after that attempt at salvaging things for Ferox, but little to no information here, and Novaix can get that one pick. Diffuser down as well. Sushi, last man standing for his team. Surely this is difficult. 20 seconds, no diffuser in sight. What hope is there?
15 seconds to go.
Well, very little hope. The fact that he's got no time is the more damning aspect of it. Regardless, he also was outnumbered. Lep gets the elimination, and Kanga have a lead here on Coastline. 4-3. A story is brewing here at Coastline.
Hey, I mentioned maybe the attack was favored, but Kanga come out and, well, they're doing strong things on their defense. 4-3, like you mentioned, just 3 rounds away from their first points on the board in 6 Masters, their first map win. I've been rooting for it. I guessed a draw here out of the series on my snowball predictions, but, you know, honestly, I had a feeling that Ferox would be favored here, especially because of that recent result. Ferox beating Akami on this map in that 8-6 overtime. Kanga losing this map to wildcards 7-2. Didn't give me a lot of confidence for them, but they're proving me wrong here.
I mean, that's not that difficult, Dev. You've gotten everything proven wrong this week in all your predictions.
Well, technically, they're proving me wrong from what I said on cast, but they're proving my prediction right, actually.
Yeah. Well, for now, what if Kanga go ahead and get it 2-0? Yeah, exactly.
Well, at least everyone will be wrong if that happens.
Yeah. You know I love you, Dev. It's all fun and games.
Yeah.
Right now,
you're
though,
just-
right now it's not fun and games for Ferox, though. There's a lot of pressure now potentially falling on them. If they lose this next round, 5-3 is very daunting. And Kanga are then just 2 rounds away. And for Kanga, you'd have to think that they're building towards this first map win. So much pressure on it, so much enthusiasm to get it, and desire that they're just giving everything they've got more than usual. Spruce brings out the Echo. We haven't seen it for a long time. It's usually by the band or, quite frankly, just not even picked.
Nice couple of bullet holes to try to protect against a push from security, but one thing Spruce has to be wary of is the IQ. If Deptra spots out those yokais, of course they're vulnerable once they're actually spotted. It might be hard to detect being invisible, mostly cloaked, but if Deptra can find them, a single bullet will deal with them, or perhaps a grenade. Spruce will have to keep them close to him. Good progress made thus far, however, from Ferox on this top floor clear. A lot of early presence. That said, ooh, Kanga find the first pick. Leb, aggressive, in towards bathroom from theater. It's a good start, and they're not going to let up anytime soon.
We mentioned good presence on this second floor, but what Kanga keep doing here on their defense is picking up, making sure they've always got their own presence on the second floor, making it very difficult for Ferox to sort of move around and roam. Todd gets Novaix, expecting it at this point. You can kind of just see they're expecting Kanga to be moving around, roaming, being aggressive on this second floor. Diffuser's down, no one's really near it. Deptra can go back and get it. Oh, that was just really unfortunate timing for Todd. Todd now gets leapt, and that's going to be very unfortunate for Kanga here. Diffuser in hand, numbers in hand for Ferox. And from the game and the match going in their favor, Ferox should be able to tie it up from here.
A very strong roam clear for Ferox, despite losing that initial engagement to Leb. And now Boats and Spruce on site to defend for a whole minute. Rather, Boats was in lobby, but Spruce on site by himself. He has his yokais to deny that plant for as long as possible.
recovered the
The
diffuser.
roof above him is soft, so Spruce needs to be careful. A drone, don't believe that spotted him. Contesting these long angles. 40 seconds, time is ticking away. Ferox, they need to make some progress here.
I wouldn't stress too much. 4 versus 2, 30 seconds, still enough time, and they've got the very large numbers advantage as well as they slowly but surely push down into this first floor kitchen site. One over at the stairs was spotted from Spruce. We actually just missed it at the last second, but you can see that it was always going to be that case. Unfortunately,
15 seconds
Deptra
left.
then does get Spruce. 1 versus 3 now for Boats. He is closer to this site.
10
10 seconds. If he can find
no.
and disrupt the planter of the diffuser, it may just give him a chance to get the win for Kanga just yet. Never mind. Goes down himself. Ferox tied up 4-4. Coastline is definitely back and forth right now.
It almost felt possible for a second there for was it Boats on the moot, but no, just no C4 in hand and the attacker planting behind the reinforcement. I think really that round was won for Ferox in the roam clear, despite losing Leb nice on early. They had 3 kills in reply on account of Kanga just maybe getting a bit too overzealous on their peaks, 1 by 1. No opportunity for a refrag there, except for Ferox. Now, as you mentioned, 4-4. It's really anyone's game at the moment, but keeping in mind this is Kanga's map pick, and I would still think that they have a better chance on Coastline than on Clubhouse later. So Kanga got to be feeling the pressure right now.
I mean, look, for Kanga's sake, I'm just going to say they're probably not feeling any pressure at all. This has been a rebuilding season for them. And at this point, when you're 0-10, how much more pressure can you really take here? Yes, they will definitely feel like they can win, not only this map, but the series 2-0. But it's hard to say there's a lot of pressure. There should be more so pressure on Ferox. The fact that it's 4-4, this is a team that
Attackers are heading
should
out
be
to
doing away with Kanga, just like every other team has done this season, so that they can set themselves up with a chance of finishing in the top 4, or at least putting themselves in a position to do that. You don't beat Kanga here, you even just drop 1 map, Dev, and that chance is going to be almost taken away immediately.
Yeah, look, that's a great point. Ferox is sitting in second to last place on 9 points. They've played the least number of games out of any team, but losing to Kanga here would be detrimental to their chances of making playoffs. And now Ferox on the attack. On the back of that previous victory, some good control taken once again.
located a bomb.
But of course, that hold in theater. Leb and Noveix upstairs. Sushi to drone it out. Boats supporting from bottom white. Noveix at 90. Previously, Leb got that opening pick and then Ferox picked them apart 1 by 1. What's Kanga learnt from their mistakes?
Bullseye, says Spruce. Drone captured for Kanga.
Oh,
Noveix has really stepped up after a bit of a slow start. Was 1-3 since then.
Diffuser has been dropped.
Has gone 4-3. And is proceeding to find a lot of opening picks. Yeah, so far on Coastline. Sushi's going to get revived. Although on such low health, how impactful can he really be for the remainder of this? Won't be impactful at all. Kanga just slicing through Ferox's attack at the moment. And can they get to a position where if you get to 5-4, only 1 more round, and a match point could then be in the hands of Kanga. Still a bit to do here. Teptra and Todd have got to be flushed out and eliminated. 1 minute and 15 seconds gives them enough time to adapt, relocate, and have another crack at it.
yeah, and Deptra still does get downstairs. Todd, with the sledgehammer in hand, has the opportunity to open up that floor and expose some of these positions, but I don't think that's the play for him. Glacier on the SMG-11, and he'll rotate over to the service door. Needs to be careful. There was a player very aggressive. It's Noveix. Already found 1 kill on the round. As the door is sprayed down, Todd finds 1. That's Spruce. Suddenly a 2 versus 4 has become a manageable 2 versus 3.
And Noveix is wary of that, knowing that his teammates are sort of just getting picked off here. Changes his position, and it plays out perfectly. Well played from the new member of Kanga. Does get traded out by Todd, and yet we find ourselves in another 1v won for what I believe is now the third time here on Coastline already in just the first 9 rounds. You'd hate to be sort of a
15 seconds
fan of
remaining.
either of these two teams. It's been so
Ooh.
back and forth. All the shots, both
10 seconds
missing.
remaining.
They're both Neo, and they're both now going to have a chance, and it's going to be Kanga who come out on top. Boats in the 1v1 against Todd. Kanga take the lead once again.
SMG 11 versus SMG 11 and Boats to close it out. That could have swung either way. I mean, hats off to Ferox for turning that 2 versus 4 into a very doable 1 versus 1, but Todd just wasn't enough to hold out. And man, this is definitely getting close, and we're 2 rounds away from seeing Kanga finally get some points on the board. And on the flip side of that, seeing Ferox really getting it handed to them and shut out of playoffs.
Feels like some history making happening here. I'm glad to be a part of it, Dev, alongside you, because if Kanga pick up this map win, it'll be their first of the season. We keep harping on it, but for good reasons. It's a bit of a reward for sticking with it. It's very easy to just give up. I mean, you look at their round differential as well, and it just tells the story. They haven't had too many close losses either. There's been a couple, most notably the one last week against Sinister and Cafe, 7-8 in overtime, but massive chance for Kanga. It would be, as you said, detrimental to Ferox, but Kanga don't care for that. They're not here to make friends, they're here to win. They haven't done any of it this season, but now is their chance. They've probably not had a better chance than this all season.
10 seconds to go.
That said, Ferox is only 1 round behind. Very possible for them as well. On the attacking side,
Locate and defuse a bomb.
we ended the half at 3-3. We could see another 3-3 half here and head to overtime. I'm getting overtime vibes here. Xenox, I'm feeling
I'm
it.
getting cool vibes here on Coastline. Cool vibes are in the favor of Kanga. You say overtime, I don't know, I'm starting to believe here. Just starting to believe that Kanga can find their first map win. 2.5 minutes, this round will be telling. 6-4 puts so much pressure on the back of Ferox. But 5-5, and Kanga's momentum is just halted for the time being.
Campo holding on to Hookah as long as he can. The smoke already using one of his gas babes so early in the round. May help Ferox later in the round. Shaping up. Pushing from VIP. Really all sides is Ferox. Ooh, that's a good drone from Todd. Spots out the player at Vaz. Now pushing on in. Might try and throw a nade. We saw him do this before, but this time it might net him a kill. Surely it wasn't cooked enough, and Noveix gets out of dodge. I don't know what happened there. The nade just missed, but a thermite charge rings out and opens up that VIP wall. Ferox making some great progress thus far, and now have completely exposed the majority of that A bomb site.
Time for Ferox to pick up the pace, though, in just a general sense in this match, in this series. Flick a switch and try and find another gear to outperform Kanga in these final few rounds of Coastline. It's Kanga's map pick, but Ferox are not in any position to be trading maps with Kanga. Sushi pushing through Aquarium, just clearing out any gadgets. They're so close to the site, yet it feels like so far. So much time, a minute. Don't be surprised if this stalls out. Although, Ferox could take the approach of just trying to push in, clear it out even early. They've got a lot of time in the bank, though.
5v5 in this last minute of the round. Ferox, like you said, they do seem to be mounting for this push through Aqua. Smoke goes out. Shade finds the first kill of the round onto Campo. There's still presence, though, from Kanga downstairs, and they can deny the plant vertically. A couple of shots rang out either direction. Leb now very low on HP. Needs to be cautious. 30 seconds left. And Ferox getting another pick.
Falling apart for Kanga, but I wouldn't count them out yet. Spruce, Boats, they've both been in these similar positions over the first few rounds, these first 10 rounds, and generally it's gone their way. Plant's going to go down. Time for the counter defuse to come through. Lab's going to find Depture to open it up, but they're very low. He's very low. Boats, too, is taking some damage. Very in close, just on the other side. In Hooker pushing through. Oh, he looked away at the last second. He would have been able to get that kill, surely. Sushi goes down. Has Ferox maybe thrown this? They're right on it. They can go for the defuse. And keeping watch is Spruce outside. Ferox, never mind. Warden gets the double. and a sigh and a breathing sigh of relief for those in the Ferox camp. 5-5.
We're just trading rounds back and forth. The only time someone has won 2 rounds in a row was Ferox in round number 2 and 3. But aside from that, it's just been back and forth, back and forth. We haven't seen either of these teams get a leg up more than 1 round apart from their opposition. And if the trend continues, we'll definitely see that over time. But still, this is the last opportunity here. If either of these teams can break the trend and break away with 2 rounds here, that's the game. Done and dusted. We'll move on. But still, Kanga just within their grasp is that match point, is that opportunity to get their first win of the season.
Attackers need to locate
Ferox certainly don't want it to be them that's the victim.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Well, we've only had 1 overtime this week of 6 Masters. That was yesterday between Akami and Knights. As you said, whoever wins this next round, though, at least gets the match point. They get an ace up the sleeve. Things that then in that following round fall by the wayside. At least they know that worst case scenario, they just go to overtime. It's so much more stressful for the team that's on 5 rather than the team that's on 6. So in a way, it makes this round so important. When you look at a team like Kanga in this position, if you win this round, you go up 6-5. The confidence that they could then feel going into that next round is paramount. For Ferox, on the other hand, if you go up 6-5 after this, you feel like you can then have the confidence to go and crush them in that next round, finish off Coastline 7-5, breathe that sigh of relief, and move on to Clubhouse.
Warden live droned through Sunroom, through security, just to clear out that lobby side, take out the default camera. No pressure in office from Kanga, dangerous. And Ferox made some good progress so far. Shade, a drone in a bomb site as well. He'll just leave it there. 2 players in Sunrise for Kanga. Bit of a roam upstairs vertically, still with that same setup at Vars with the Wamai and the shield. Also presence from Navaix in kitchen. Ferox are starting to get all the information they need, and well, that's a thermite charge to open up the blue bar wall. With only 1 minute down, Ferox have made fantastic progress.
You can see it there visually as well with the wall that was opened up in office on the blue bar. Shade can go in. I'm not sure if that was intended. You may have just blocked that flash. Smoke's going to be placed. So is the diffuser. They have 1 minute and 40 seconds. That's now just going to be 45 seconds. Spray through the wall from Spruce, realizing that they've been snuck on. But a retake can now be possible. The Navaix coming from kitchen's going to be able to get Sushi. 4 versus 4, but only 30 seconds remaining. A big opportunity for either of these 2 teams is now present. C4 goes out. Thought for a second that might have gotten the kill. No, laying right down. Navaix, don't fall for it. Fortunately, spots the foot sticking out from Warden. Kanga are coming through in the clutch. Deptra still alive. 3 versus 2, 13 seconds. Kempo is on the diffuser. Going for that counter diffuse.
No way.
3 seconds remain. Deptra goes down. Kanga's going to pull it off. Shade can't stop him. Kanga win the round, and they've got match point on Coastline.
What was that 4 versus 4 retake? And to hold on, Ferox had so much confidence. They droned out all the ground that they wanted to take. They completely took Kanga by surprise. They thermited open the wall into blue bar, got the plant down with less than half the round done. And then that 1 minute 40, as you said, it turned into 45 seconds. The tables turned. Kanga has to retake, and they did just that. They welcomed the opportunity piece by piece, dragging it back. And now they're on match point. I just... Is this when it happens, Xenox? Is this how it happens?
If it is how it happens, it's been a just deserved win if it does go that way. Match point 6-5 in favor of Kanga on Coastline. It is their map pick, but who cares? They've earned it. It's been a long season, but you've still got to get the job done. There's one more hurdle to still leap over. You fall here, and then there's a couple more hurdles that will be on their way. Ferox, though, have got... Well, they got a long jump in front of them, I guess you could say, Dev, because if they lose this round, their season might be done. I'm not going to go into the maths. I'm not going to look at it. They've got a lot more matches still to be played, but it will make it just that bit more difficult when you're the only team to have then dropped the map to the team that everyone else has beaten. It makes it difficult from that point to then make the playoffs. Still, let's see how this round plays out. Leb has been amazing. 12 kills. Has been in the thick of it. We've had so many 1v1s towards the end of these rounds. I'm nervous for Ferox, but I'm also excited for Kanga.
I wonder what it's like for Kanga at the moment. Is Spruce gonna finally get to shave? Are they thinking right now, we're within arm's reach of this, let's just do it? And if that is their thought process, surely that's not something that can slip away from them. For Ferox, the pressure is on. Like you said, they have the attack. They need to take the initiative here, and they're the ones under the pump. They need to force this overtime to sustain their chances of making top 4 for playoffs. Up until now, it's looked like Ferox was definitely in the running, but maybe this is where their road ends and Kanga takes back their pride.
At least mends it. And as you say, take it back for the time being. So Kitchen gives them the ability to play the C4 game as well if Ferox select to take second floor. But I think we've seen more so a lot of the attention, especially around this first floor bomb site in Kitchen, is that both Kanga and Ferox have neglected second floor control and just going straight for this first floor. It's been the play for both teams. And it seems like that's going to be the case here again. Minute 40 seconds remaining. By this point, the diffuser had already been placed down in the last round. For Ferox, it looked like everything was going their way. Things were perfect. Warden pushing up cool vibes, making sure there's no one behind them. Is this a round where they leave it to the last second? The opposite of what we saw in the last round.
It's slow and steady progress for Ferox, but that shield is still intact in Kitchen to contest that kitchen door for Kanga. An attempt at destroying it was Warden with the Ash Charge, but it's just at the rotate hole near the B-bomb, and it's still intact. 2 smoke babes go out, so still a lot of the round left. The Dokkaebi logic bomb is blown, and now the call rings out. Shade gonna start to get this plant down. Kanga, though, are they making it happen? They get 2 kills. There's one against them. Shade opts not to go for that plant.
Oh my
Ferox is still in it, though. It's a 3-on-3. Just desperate to find this kill is Shade. Only 11 rounds in the mag. That C4 goes out. Doesn't find anything. Todd waiting for the player to enter his sightlines. And this is where everything comes to end.
The last 30 seconds. Is it going to be the last 30 seconds of maybe Ferox's season if they don't win this round? Of AX, he had the spray. Todd was able to beat him in that 1v1, though. Very low with that, though. 3 versus 2 to end this round. Got to still get the plant down or find these kills. Boats and Leb may just be able to hide. Buy time. 10 seconds left. Plant's going to go down from Shade. Leb gets Sushi, though. Leb pushing through. 2 versus 1. Shade, has he got what it takes? He hasn't got it down, but he's got to find Leb, who just hides. He's going to be able to stick it. There will be time. But Leb now pushes in slowly. Never mind. It's quick. He gets it down. Doesn't want to immediately be finished off. Checks the door. Final shots about to ring out. So much on the line. 35 seconds, and it's got to be won by Shade Ferox somehow. Hold on. And they breathe that sigh of relief. 6-6 and overtime.
What was a 3 versus 2 for Ferox suddenly slipped away and turned into a 1v2, but Shade just desperately held on to Ferox's chances, not only in this map, but of course in the season. Every point counts. They can't drop a map here. They have no intention of doing so. And you could feel that suspense for Kanga when we were just holding as the timer hit 0, the Mozzie lying prone in anticipation as that timer hit 0, wondering, is this our first points in 6 Masters? But no, at least not yet, because Ferox, they're going to have their say first.
They had it in their hands, Dev. I thought it was all but done. 2 versus 1 towards the end. I'm speechless. This has been an amazing match on Coastline. Kanga rightfully taking it to Ferox. Ferox can escape a travesty, though, now by setting it to overtime. You come out of here with the win. At the end of the day, it may not play a big part in their journey towards the playoffs.
Oh, and it's got us in anticipation, doesn't it, Xenox? Ferox. Last time they played Coastline was Okami, and it went to overtime, but they edged out the victory with 2 straight in overtime, ending at 8-6. Ferox were the ones who pushed us to OT. I feel like the momentum's in their corner at the moment.
A little bit. I think it would be fair to say the fact that it's obviously 6-6 going into overtime means it's all squared up. So yes, you could say Ferox take the momentum since they forced the overtime. Kanga lose that match point that they had. But the way that Kanga have been playing, we get a bit of a rehost here and a bit of time to breathe for both teams. That in itself also kind of negates any sort of momentum. So I think we're all square here going into this overtime. Any of these two teams can win it, and what it means for both of them is two very stark differences.
Yeah, very much so. And it's Kanga who gets to start on the attack here. Remember, we ended up at 3-3 for each split, so it's not easy to say one team is favored on the attack other than other. But I'm just going to have a look and see. With Kanga on their attack, the only bomb sites they managed to attack for the most part was Blue Bar and Sunrise. They did, however, get one attack onto Kitchen successfully. I didn't happen to see. Did you notice which bomb site they'd taken just for that first round? I actually didn't see.
In the first round?
Oh. I mean, in that round just then.
In that round with Kitchen.
Just rehosted. Was it Kitchen? So that's funny because Kitchen was actually won.
That round that was rehosted, or the round that they had actually won was Kitchen?
The rehosts. The rehosts.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Not sure? That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Ferox probably would have chosen Hookah because that's the only undefeated bomb site for them at the moment.
Yeah.
That said, if it is Kitchen, that's a 50-50 split because Kanga won it once on their attack and Ferox won it once on the defense. So can go either way. I've got to say, despite it being 3-3 each half, I felt a bit more punch in Ferox's attacks than in Kanga's attacks.
I mean, I guess you could say that. The way I look at it, though, is I don't care how hard you're punching. If you end up knocking the other guy out, you kind of got the job done, haven't you, right? And Kanga definitely did that. They had their match point deservedly. They got into the lead. They very closely could have won it. We've had, is it 4 or 5 1v1s now over the course of this entire match on Coastline? It's one of those two, right?
Yeah,
so
I've got 4 clutches.
Kanga, 4 clutches, there you go. And Kanga, in that last clutch on Kitchen for Ferox, they had a 2v1 advantage. It was just the fact that the diffuser could go down and buy a bit more time for Shade. So they'd be spewing that they didn't get the win in that scenario, I think. And yeah, okay, I guess you can take that thought process going into overtime, but I think you'd be silly, and I think it'd be very detrimental if you're even thinking about that. If you're Kanga right now, they just have to be assessing and saying, look, we've been playing well. Going into overtime, everything's even. We've got a massive chance here, and I think that's probably what they're talking about right now.
Yeah, and that's the question, that these guys will be talking and saying, oh, we have a chance, just try and chill out. But surely that pressure is eating away at them. And that applies to both teams here. For Kanga, what's on the line is maybe you're actually going to get some points here. And I mean, there's not just pride, there's Spruce's beard on the line. I mean, there's a lot at stake here for Kanga, right?
You keep going about this beard. It's not that big.
No, it's not. That's what I find kind of hilarious about it. I would like to see Spruce actually grow it out, but I kind of also want Kanga to get some points in this league for once. And this seems to be a pretty good chance for it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's very difficult. We're obviously impartial. We're completely neutral on it because there's 2 ways to look at it. I'd love to see, a team like Ferox really have a chance as a bit of an underdog coming into this season, formerly as Fury, to reach playoffs, to make top 4. There weren't many who probably would have predicted them in the top 4 to begin this season of Six Masters. So you win this map and then you win Clubhouse. Obviously, you've still got to do the job in next week, but they at least give themselves that opportunity. So you kind of love that storyline, that underdog spirit that, us Australians really love. But then the Kanga, it's hard to not want to root for them. It's hard to not say, come on, I want to see these guys get a map. They've deserved it. They've worked really hard. They've had retirement Wayman and Nevaix coming in and making his debut. And yet they're still, throughout all of this, haven't given up. They've continued to persevere. They had a match point. It didn't quite go their way, but now they're into overtime on their map pick of Coastline as we head back in. And you were right. It is hookah and billiards. for this defense of Ferox.
It's the only bomb site Ferox managed to win flawlessly. Won it both times. Also remember on a lot of Kanga's attacks, they just had random wall bangs from outside. In fact, 2 of the rounds that they won, they got an early man advantage just by randomly spraying through a window or a doorway at the start of the round and finding one of the Ferox players cut off in a rotation. Yeah, I don't think that's something that Kanga can rely on here. If the pattern continues, Ferox will send us to match point after this round. But Kanga, we've talked about, the pressure is on for them. For Ferox, we have said these guys are a serious contender for top 4 despite sitting in 7th place. But they need to lock out 6 points against Kanga here to even get an opportunity
10 seconds remaining.
to make playoffs.
Yeah, and you say 6 points, not just 3. It's a draw is not ideal for Ferox. It's not like, okay, we lost Coastline in a very close one. We'll go over to Clubhouse. We'll win that. Happy days. No, they need a 6. They need all 6 points here tonight. And right now, they're on the verge of potentially losing 3 of those 6 points here on Coastline. They force the overtime, though. That's a start. It's a way forward for Ferox. We mentioned Clubhouse, of course, it's coming up after this, but we both probably believe Ferox should be stronger on Clubhouse.
Bomb located by
Yeah, I mean, it is their map pick, and we haven't seen great things from Kanga on it, but we haven't seen great things from Kanga on very many maps at all. So, I mean, that summarizes their season. Ferox was smart to get rid of Cafe, which is the only map Kanga has taken to overtime this season, the best they've done. But leaving Coastline in was a bit of a question mark, and clearly Kanga are pretty good on it. As you can see, the result thus far. Still, definitely within spitting distance of taking this map outright is Kanga's map pick. And they're keen for it. So close they can taste it. Pushing in vertically from below. If you recall, Spruce likes to mince up that floor in hookah, flush out these key positions, but it hasn't been successful on the previous attacks. Just under half the round gone. What is the play for Kanga? They have to make a move.
Their attack was good. You said they both went 3-3 in their halves. They both did 3 on attack, 3 on defense each. But you did make the point that you didn't feel like they didn't punch as hard on their attack. I disagree. And generally, we're able to get onto site with a lot of time remaining. This has probably been one of their slower pushes. Not much of a surprise in the fact that it's, overtime. It's a bit of a stressful situation. They're not far from the site, but typically was about, I'd say, 40 seconds when Kanga would then start to push onto site. EE1D is going to be used by boats. And as I keep talking about, with a minute to go, now they're going to start to push through. Aqua is fully controlled as they look to push on the blue bar, and Sunrise Spruce loses that exchange though to 1 versus 1. It was immediately traded back though by Campo. Fortunately, oh boy, that was extremely close in favor of Campo. Doesn't find anything though. Second EE1D goes out, 40 seconds remaining.
Can Led make an impact from this master window, as well as the question boats to file on through? The Leisure Mine goes out. No doubt Sushi knows about that position, but Novax gets him. There's a trade. Novax looking for another one. Campo as well. It's all on Deptra now here. Kanga in a 3 versus 1. Can Deptra deny this plan? He doesn't have the information. C4 goes out and finds absolutely nothing. The plant is on. The retake has to come out for Deptra. He can find 1 kill. It's a 1v2. We've seen clutches like this happen before. Does Deptra have what it takes?
1 versus 2, 30 seconds. Time is not really of the essence, not just yet anyway. He's got to make use of the time that he has. Can't just leap out expecting the repellers in the window. Novax has been clutch so far. 20 seconds. Do you go for a fake? Expect someone to pre-fire it. They're going to have to at some point. They're close, but they expect the fake. They buy their time. Deptra surely doesn't win these. Only 10 more seconds left. He gets pushed away from the bomb site. The only thing he can do now is just get the 1v1. 5 seconds left. Running back is Novax. The new member of Kanga is going to get them the winning round. 7-6. And time was in the end of the essence for Ferox. Kanga, once again, have got a match point in their pocket.
A really great post-plant there for Kanga in the 3 versus 1. And we know those can get thrown, but throwing a drone out there just to cover that diffuser. And now It's all on for Kanga. Where do you go for your defense? Do you go over to Blue Bar Sunrise? It looks like that is the case. It's the only bomb site that they won flawlessly. That said, we were saying the same thing about Ferox for Hookah, and look how that turned out. We're going to be looking at Ferox now. Switch back onto your attacks. We had some good one. We had some bite. Now they're going to go with the Thermite. 6-pick onto it. Might be able to get some early presence in office. Go for that quick execute onto Blue Bar. It was an amazing early plant for Ferox last time. But let's not forget how that ended up for them when Kanga were on for the retake. Anything is still possible here. But it's match point for Kanga.
Their second one as well of this match on Coastline. It would almost feel undeserved if Ferox win this. Kanga's been the better team. They've looked more in control. That certainly was a harder punch there on their attack. And now on defense, where they've looked good as well. And the Vaix has really stepped up. Keep talking about him, but when you consider the circumstances around his debut last week, you know, fresh into the competitive scene, it feels like he's been playing for months at this level, at this sort of competitive environment, and you got to give credit where it's due. And for Ferox, though, well, you lose this round, and the season could very well be gone with it.
And that's why the pressure's on for Ferox. Spruce holding hard inside office this time around, not going to give up that ground for free, as Ferox took last time. And it does appear the attackers have changed their mind. They'll look to go for a Sunrise-centric push. Lots of players there. Spruce opens up the office double door so that he can go for a run out if he so desires. Potential for a Valkyrie camera to be outside. Deptra needs to be on the lookout for those. But where is the push from Ferox? Todd outside near the pool. Looking to potentially hold on to Kitchen. Deptra just to cover this run out on office. Needs to be careful. He is vulnerable. Someone peeks. There you go. Crouch out. Won't be so exposed. Vaix and boats roaming as well. No doubt a lot of vertical pressure from Kanga. They can just be patient here.
2 minutes, plenty of time. And say patience, but frags are going to matter more. Not going to get too overexcited yet for Ferox, because we've seen Kanga have been able to, well, bring things back when the deficit has been large. And in this case, it is quite large, 3v5. Leb up on Hookah, though. You know, if you don't count it out in from that position, I wouldn't be surprised if you find 2 kills. Even if he has to then drop down at some point. Minute and a half, still a lot of time. Ferox are going to make sure that they don't rush this scenario. You rush in, you lose 2 members, all of a sudden then it's a 3 versus 3. And this is the way that a lot of these matches have been going down. Speaking of going down, Leb's going to move from Hookah, go down Cool Vibes, join the rest of his team in this first floor.
Ferox looking to simplify this, not going for that top floor control. Just a minute left now. They have Thermited open sauna. Now very late. They start to go for this top floor control. Looks to be a sauna-centric execute. Shade open to all kinds of angles, but that's the man advantage even further now. Kanga just 2 players left and have to hold for 50 seconds.
You think now Ferox should be able to win this round, and it sets it all up for what's going to be 7-7. Sushi gets boats. Sushi's gotten 2. Can't find a third. Leb's going to trade it back, but he's got to get 4 more trades after that. Finds one on Cool Vibes. Ooh, all you like. I still don't think he's going to have it done. Prove me wrong, though, Leb. Never mind, he can't. Ferox win the round, and Dev, we go to what is going to be the final round.
Whoa, I mean, this game has deserved an 8-7. Whichever way it goes, this match deserved full 15 rounds. You know, I mentioned earlier, Ferox got 2 rounds back-to-back right at the start, but aside from that, it's just literally been Kanga, Ferox, Kanga, Ferox, Kanga, Ferox, back-to-back, all the way on. Will that trend continue? If it does, Kanga wins this and takes their first points onto the 6 Masters ladder. They'll be on the attack for this round as Ferox attempts to defend Blue Bar and Sunrise, the only bomb site on their defensive half that they didn't win a single time.
I'd say that. Don't jinx it like that. You got me nervous.
Just saying. Wait a second. Yeah, no, they didn't win this once.
Yeah.
Kanga won this both times. Kanga won this bomb site twice. This is a risky and confident play from Ferox, not going over to Hookah, not going over to Kitchen. Sticking with
I can
what
already
they
just
believe is their best side.
I can already just picture you. You got your pen out, writing down. Okay, interview. Why did you pick Blue and Sunrise? Why? Why? And they'll win it. Watch them win it, and you'll still ask the question. Why did they? Look, all I can say right now is you mentioned that 15 rounds is what has been deserved for both of these two teams. I am so nervous for both of these two teams. I'm going to be upset for whoever loses this because, you know, if Ferox lose this, playoffs, probably done. If Kanga lose this, best opportunity to win their first map of the season, probably done. So much on the line. The ramifications are massive for both teams. Different manners. An early pick could be just so detrimental for the morale of the team who does get picked. So if you're Ferox, maybe you play very close to home, or Shade has got other ideas though on the Vigil. And that just might be the trick to get the win here. Expecting Kanga to push in towards Blue and then have the Vigil come in behind them at the last second.
Kanga made good control, progress on the top floor, pushing from the east side. Novaix to find the open pit. Warden shut down once again. Novaix turning up for his team, but Todd to find one onto Campo through the VIP floor. 1 minute down, and we're already at a 4 versus 4.
The rookie finds the opening pick. But Todd was fortunately able to find a C4 kill for his own. 4 versus 4. You know how this is going to end, right? It's going to be a 1 versus 1. If it doesn't end in a 1 versus 1, I'll be surprised. It's been that sort of game. It's been that sort of match. It may end up being that sort of series. If Kanga can win this, who knows? Maybe Ferox would be so demoralized that they drop Clubhouse that's to come after this. Both with the EE1D. Has 2 more after this. Of course, a bit of a cooldown between them. Minute and 24 seconds remaining for Kanga. Over towards Cool Vibes. Not sure how much presence they've got over towards Aqua. That's usually, not Aqua, sorry, Blue. That's usually where we're seeing a lot of these pushes come from. Towards Blue. Depture with the C4. Not sure how many more are available as a team. But in this final minute, 1 more C4 kill could be the difference.
He hears him.
Goes for it. He's going to throw it out, but he's going to miss. Oh my days. 1 minute left, Dev.
Spruce opening up this floor to eliminate those positions being played by Deptra and the rest of the team. Still vulnerable to C4s, but of course that single one missing its target does give him a sigh of relief. 4 versus 4 here for Kanga. No numbers advantage, and this is match point. They have to make this happen.
Match point for both teams. Massive opportunity for both teams. 34 seconds left. Who has got the cool nerves? It's the rookie. Novaix coming up huge. Diffuser in hand. He finds the frag onto Shade. He's found them both so far into both Shade and Warden. The Vigil goes down, losing so much of that roam threat now for Ferox too. And any sort of retake is just that little bit harder. 15 seconds remaining. Only 1 more E1D remains. There's a frag back from Sushi though. 3 versus 3 in the final 10 seconds. They're still going to go and get the plant down. Novaix is able to get it down. It's denied. 5 seconds left, denied. Ferox have done it. In the final seconds, they get the win. The GGs come out. Oh, it was so close. And it's so heartbreaking for Kanga.
I gotta say, Sushi's having a heart attack right now. And I don't blame him, but a well-deserved MVP. What a game that was. From start to finish, a roller coaster up and down, side to side, with no end in sight. But finally, it's closed out, leaving Ferox in the running still for the playoffs positions.
I mean, that's the best game. That's the best match, at least in the last few weeks. At least. I don't care. We'll go with there. I'm going to put it out there. At least for me, Dev. That was intense. The storylines for both teams, everything that was on the line for both teams. Wasn't quite a 1v1 in the end, but it was still so chaotic. The plant denial with about 1 second left from that going down. Whether or not that makes a difference, doesn't matter. It was still something that happened. Novaix, the rookie, the debutant from last week, got the opening pick, found a second one shortly after that. Everything was leaning in Kanga's favor slowly in that final round, but Ferox just got it done. And this is what I was saying before, Dev. They get out and they run with those 3 points. And as they head to Clubhouse, they're going to be favored heavily.
And it's their map pick as well. Surely Ferox are in it to win it now with the 2-0. Kanga just, I mean, that was their best opportunity. Maybe there's an opportunity to maybe get something back on Clubhouse, but they're going to have to put their big shoes on and really step up to the plate.
Yeah, they're going to have another crack at it. It's going to be tough. It's on Clubhouse where Ferox are going to feel a bit more comfortable than Coastline. It was an amazing match. Hopefully, the second match will live up to it.
Please hold. Your call is very important to us. All operators are busy at this time.
Well, we had an absolute brawl on Coastline. 8-7 in favor of Ferox. They take it out over Kanga, who had 2, technically 3 match points if we want to go down to the nitty-gritty, Dev. But unfortunately for Kanga, they fell short. In the end, Ferox win the map. We go to Clubhouse, and they've got the opportunity to 2-0 this series.
And if anyone is just jumping in now, like, you need to go back and watch this Coastline game later. That was just something else. I don't have an answer. Like, if you haven't watched it yet, just block your ears so we don't tell you the result, and just click off this. We'll go watch that and then watch this one, because it is just ridiculous. That game was nuts, and hopefully Clubhouse is going to prove to be the same, because I mean, an 8-7 either way, you know that's going to be just insane. But Clubhouse, we're now on Ferox's map pick. Maybe that's going to favor them even more heavily. And they've had some losses recently on it. They lost it at an 8-7 against Akami just 2 series ago. So there's actually some weaknesses exploded for Ferox on this map that maybe Kanga can exploit.
Yeah, I agree. I still favor Ferox going into Clubhouse. You can see the poll vote that was polled earlier on this evening, and a lot, very evidently going for Ferox tonight. 60% expecting them to win 2-0. Well, that's still a very real possibility going into Clubhouse. But the one thing we haven't spoken too much about is also this round differential. Because it was only an 8-7 rather than, say, like a 7-2, for example, they don't quite get as many points there for Team Ferox. I don't think that they're caring too much about that, though, as we head into Clubhouse. They're happy to have just gotten the win on Coastline. They've escaped very hurriedly over to Clubhouse. Kanga have followed them, who are still aiming to steal a map. They're going to have to do it on Ferox's home turf, though.
Only 3 more maps left as an opportunity for Kanga to steal away a map win. It's here on Ferox's map pick or next week against LFO, but surely you want to get it done here. Kanga lock in the first operator ban, and it is going to be the Maverick. Very common here on Clubhouse. Bit of a have fun smiley face coming out in chat from Novaix. Can I just say, Novaix is really been demonstrating why he got picked up. Like, he has been so good.
Yeah. When I was mentioning that sort of in the Coastline map, a lot of responsibilities as well. They're typically having him hold the diffuser for most of those rounds. He got a lot of plants, and well, he found a lot of opening picks as well on the offense. Definitely stepping up. Bit of a slow start, but then got going. A bit of a warm-up period for him to join the rest of his team. Look, Kanga were very impressive on Coastline. I'd like to see them bring that impressive play style now over to Clubhouse. Don't want to doubt them too much. His bans so far, pretty normal. Nothing too much of a surprise. But Ferox definitely going to be favored here. I think we have to make that obvious more than they were favored on, say, Coastline.
Although we are really looking at kind of a polarly opposite map here on Clubhouse to Coastline. Coastline, very small, claustrophobic, not a lot of opportunity to really just solid anchor because the map is so small. You have to really just roam. Whereas Clubhouse, it's a very a map where you really can just anchor, and it comes down to a lot of those utility battles, especially with that Maverick and the Thatcher gone. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the attack to eliminate wall denial, and Thermite and Hibana is not going to be enough. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for hard breach counters. In this case, it's the Kaid, which will protect and be safe from any kind of Thatcher EMP or Maverick Torch. We'll see how Ferox decide to deal with that as we progress in. A couple of 6-picks coming out. We talked about how the 6-pick doesn't always get utilized, but it does twofold in this particular round. As for Ferox on the attack, they bring out the Ying. I know Shade quite prolific on the operator, but it's not an operator we've actually seen a lot of in the season so far.
No, we haven't. For 2 reasons. When it obviously gets banned, which it was for a heavily amount over the first 4 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, though, it hasn't quite been used. Not because it hasn't been banned, just because teams haven't elected to use it. And Shade gonna give it a go. So Ferox attacking Clubhouse, their map pick.
10 seconds to insertion.
It was a 3-3 half on both halves on Coastline. I think Ferox would probably prefer to go to at least 4-2 on their attack here of Clubhouse.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
That said, attacking is going to be tough. As I mentioned, no Thatcher, no Maverick means Waldenal is going to be king, and especially on this bottom floor bomb site. With Electroclaws, if you put an Electroclaw on, let's say, the Moto hatch and the blue hatch, there's just like no way to get rid of that. And you can't Hibana it, you can't Thermite it. The best chance you've got is opening up some of the floor and throwing a frag grenade on through. Same case for Dirt, really. You could protect Dirt quite easily as well using the Electroclaws. It looks like there are actually none yet on the hatches, which is really surprising to me. I wonder where the boats is primarily. Yeah, he's got both of them in his pocket. He's going to do it late. Come and chuck it up. Oh, he might actually catch some Hibana pellets. He is. They're going to get zapped. Good night. See you later. I love that. That's already one set of X-Kairos from Warden eliminated.
Is it just a bump in the road, or is that going to be very detrimental for Ferox moving forward here on this basement push? I expect a lot of the more successful attacks from Ferox to take place up on the second floor, more so than down here in the basement, which Church and Arsenal can usually be very difficult to take for the attackers. As you said, without the Maverick as well, going to make things difficult. But utilizing both the Hibana and Thermite, you think Ferox really have all the tools necessary, as long as they play this well, to get the job done.
There's some good openings made so far for Ferox. Is Toad going to use his second nade here to try to get rid of the Electroclaw on the Moto hatch? Maybe in just a moment. That nade's going to come out, or is he just watching the flank? Is that all he's doing? Really? Okay. Not going to try and use the nade to clear out the Electroclaw. I'm surprised that Warden was actually able to pop that main hatch in kitchen as easily as he did. There was really no contest. Ooh, but here's a drop down. The Ying Candelas come through. Shade pushes on fourth and gonna take out the Legion of Campo. Gets concussed, stunned out by the Sonic Burst from the Yokai, and there's a trade here. 2 versus 3 as Warden gets the diffuser down. 2 versus 2 now. This retake is very much possible for Nevaix.
Is it though? Lab's going to be injured. Nevaix able to get Water now in a 1 versus 1 against Sushi, who, if he knows and has this location, it is opened up. Or smart from Nevaix. 2 kills so far in the round. A triple kill would get the round win for Kanga. Even smarter to go for the revival into Lab. Now 2 versus 1 rather than the 1 versus 1. Sushi still has prime pole position though. But now there's at least someone who can trade at the very least. Does he go for the hatch? Is he expecting someone to push up? Now he knows there's 2 up. The way he has to stick his plant, and especially while time is being wasted, drops down with the pistol. Sushi's well played, not going to be able to defuse this one. Ferox win the round.
What a way to do it as well. Oh, Sushi, a bit of BM at the end there too. He knew that with 7 seconds on the timer, there was no chance that even if he died, that was going to get disabled. So, a nice job there. And what was that, a 2 versus 4? For the attacks, I think almost everyone died just trying to get that plant down. It goes to show the power of that Ying was the real enabler for Ferox there, taking almost no map control, or rather opening almost no avenues onto the bomb site, not even opening up the Moto hatch, the blue hatch, no one pushing from blue, just one guy in dirt, and everyone else just trying to drop down kitchen hatch. And hey, it worked.
Great start for Ferox, who escaped an absolute heart attack on Coastline. And then the first round was going the way of Kanga here on Clubhouse. This just, again, reaffirms that regardless of how many rounds the differential will be in this series, 2 wins and 6 points is all that's going to matter. And every round matters severely. Back down to Church and Arsenal, second go for Kanga. Nevaix continues to impress now onto the Wamai. I've been talking about him a lot, but I think it's really important to give him a bit of hype time as the newer player, the debutant on this roster. And Spruce himself said that this is a bit of a rebuilding process for this team and using this time as well. This is a lot of really valuable game time for Nevaix going into whatever future tournaments Kanga participate in.
We'll say it's not a good sign that Kanga lose their first defense, especially with that Maverick and Thatcher ban in combination. I feel like it does favor Ferox, especially with their tendency to use the Ying. You can get around not being able to force that utility onto the hatches and such by just brute forcing the issue using the Candelas, which is exactly what we saw in the previous round. But despite that, Kanga will reattempt Church and Arsenal.
Bomb located by attackers.
Hibana pellets X-Kairos on the kitchen hatch, but I believe the impact grenade is successful in denying. I didn't quite get an eye on there. Nope, okay, the X-Kairos somehow detonated anyway, so a failed impact trick from Campo. And Ferox has already made great progress, and without wasting too much utility for it as well.
Oops, we're going to miss. Yeah, good progress, a minute 40. I mean, they didn't have a lot of time in that last round attack that they were able to win. And, well, with a minute and a half, you can see Sushi's going back over to dirt. He was able to do that last round, picked up a frag from there, rotated out of dirt after that, repositioned back up into that first floor in kitchen, and then fell down. So you've always got that opportunity with Sushi being able to do that from dirt. Goal is to just find at least one tag. Minute 18, but Ferox are now just starting to make their push in. Turn it out, see what they can find. A lot of this floor has been opened up as well. In kitchen.
I haven't really seen much from Kanga to make me believe that Ferox isn't just going to do the exact same thing successfully, drop down the hatch. I guess that'll help a little bit for Leb. One kill onto Warden, the designated planter.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
25 seconds remaining. I don't think they're going to be too upset with how this has played out. I mean, I know they lost Warden just then. They've cleared out a lot. They've got a lot of control up above. It's time, though, to start sending Sushi a bit more forward into dirt. Get a bit of presence. Candelas are going to go out now from Shade. Sushi does push up, but he's going to get flashed by the Candelas as well. Shade, of course, isn't going to be, and he gets the double kill. The perks of having the Ying, taking a third. Oh, he's going for the knife. Is that going to backfire? No, he's still got the kill. That was all he was probably going to get anyway. 2 versus 3. Plant goes down from Deptra, but immediately dies shortly afterwards. Todd and Sushi still remain, and now a 2 versus 2 against Boats and the Vayix. On the Omai. Can they get the counter defuse this time around?
Well, there's good coverage from bottom main. And Todd backing off now, all on Boats. Probably not going to happen. Let's be honest here. Todd's got some good angles. Sushi as well. Just trying to find these kills. But yeah, not happening. All right. What happened there? Ying. And Shade is... Oh, nice shot there, mate. Hats off to you. Not going to get the defuse off, so that's the round for Ferox. And yeah, I mean, Shade is scary. He just drops down and everyone's blind and he just... I mean... It doesn't matter what your aim is like. If everyone is flashed, it's great. I love it. It's a beautiful sight to see because your enemies can see nothing. And yeah, Shade just made short work of all of those defenders playing around the green boxes at dummies. And yeah, from then on, nothing that Kanga can do. No plant denial opportunity and no hope.
Look, there's a reason why Ying had been receiving a lot of the bans, Dev, and I think Shade's kind of putting on the display why. As you mentioned, you can drop down and, well, you basically just got sitting targets. I'm not sure if Ferox going to win every round like that manner. I'm not going to be able to win every round in that manner, but making hay while the sun shines as we head up to Master and Jim. The Ying pick paying dividends right now. Shade up to 4 kills. He's leading the line for Ferox and Clubhouse. They get it to 3 rounds now, and at least they guarantee an even half as a worst case scenario. You mentioned, though, that you kind of favored the defending side based on these bans, so then it makes it even worse for Kanga with how this is transpiring.
Very much so, and it's exactly what I was thinking. I just... The way that... If you ask me, well, why is this a defender favored if Ferox are up 2-0 on their attacks? Well, it's because something can be defender favored. The reason it's defender favored is because it's difficult to open up a lot of the hard breach areas when Thatcher and Maverick are banned because you can't counter the hard breach denial. But Ferox didn't even worry about opening. Like the only thing they really needed to open was primarily the kitchen hatch and secondarily dirt. Aside from that, it didn't really matter what else. And then they just used the Ying to brute force that issue. Oh, the Ying, speaking of, has been taken down. Going to be finished off. Come on, boats. Surely. No. No. We didn't secure the kill. Oh, well, Shade's going to get rezzed, but at least the Ying is so low on HP. Boats is really desperate for this one. Doesn't have an impact grenade to throw out through there. Anyway, Shade walks away with just a bit of HP left. Boats can fix up this castle barricade to protect the bandit.
As long as Shade's got enough health to throw Candelas, I think that's all that matters. At the point when they elect to push in. Obviously won't be able to be as aggressive as he was down in Church and Arsenal, but it's okay. Sushi just gonna clear out the ADSs. Are they gonna push through here? Minute 47 seconds. Bit of pressure over on the balcony with depth shot. And it's the second floor without the Maverick. You know, you usually see the Maverick opening up like Kennel's Wall. It's going to be up to Warden and Sushi now on the Habana and Thermite if they elect to do that.
Attackers have located the bomb.
Oh, that's a nade.
Oh, no.
Campo got a bit more than he was bargained for there. Trying to just smack that castle barricade 11 times so that it was vulnerable to just a single hit and he could use it, but nope, he eats a nade. Nice work there for Todd.
1 minute remaining. Flight versus 4. Leb's low. Boats almost half health. As you mentioned before, Shade also pretty low. Smoke's going to go out, but a lot of peak room available for Todd, utilizing that. Does have one frag grenade left to throw over into this wall that he opened up, and it's successful. Todd, 2 for 2.
Oh no! He's having trouble breathing there. Gets choked out, but Shade finds one. He can be low HP, but he can still have an impact. Leb and Spruce to hold. Leb, we've talked about how on point he's been recently. Spruce, no doubt, here's that Candela. It runs out and just him left now. No C4. Must deny the plant or make his way up the main stairs. He hears the howling of the Candela chasing him. Spots out the Hibana in bar, but surely this isn't possible. Sushi gonna force down this diffuser. No chance of Spruce gonna plant that one. And Ferox, a flawless round here on their attack. 3 in a row.
Flawless round, and so far Clubhouse has been flawless as a whole. 3 rounds in. There's been a bit of mess down in basement, which looks like where we're going to head again at Church and Arsenal for a third attempt to now. So far, all unsuccessful for Kanga. I hate to say it.
Warden.
I hate to say it, Dev, but this is more of the Kanga that we're used to seeing in this season of Six Masters. Coastline was kind of like, I guess, they showed their best, really. Just not quite able to execute as much here on Clubhouse. And Ferox, on the other hand, well, I don't want to say they're playing amazing. They're kind of just scrapping by, but doing enough that the 3-0 lead is justified.
I just really hope we can see some changes here from Kanga, because third time defending this bomb site, which really should be defender favored with no Thatcher and no Maverick. It should be difficult here for Ferox to execute, but Kanga are just really struggling to deal with this Ying push down the kitchen hatch. And I think that one of the things that has changed is Leb is now playing the Legion, as it was previously Campo, and the Legion does have those 2 impact grenades, which are essential for denying that kitchen hatch. It's possible Boats will actually place an electrical on the kitchen hatch, forcing Ferox to attempt to remove it. Boats is right now, if we can have a look, there you go, he's opening up these angles that will enable Leb to throw his impact grenades through the floor and smack into that bench, which will then destroy any X-Kairos placed on the hatch. So with 2 impact grenades in the pocket, Leb can in theory destroy 2 X-Kairos rounds, which is 2 out of the 3. Hopefully maybe even another one could be destroyed by an Electroclaw. And if that hatch is denied, I really don't see Ferox making much progress on this round. So if Kanga can keep that kitchen hatch intact for the entirety of the round, Surely that just puts a stop to this cheese from Ferox.
Deploying sensor.
Well, you say that, we'll see if that happens. We are halfway through this first half. Another thing to remember is you keep sort of going on about the defense having a bit more of an advantage. Well, then Ferox are going to go on their defensive half as well at some point. You get one more round here on attack, and then you can all but say that definitely favored to go ahead and win this map. The other thing as well is a 7-0 here for Ferox could be the difference between 4th and 5th, depending on round differential. It's a long way away from happening and not something that they're probably thinking about, but it is true. Spruce on the pulse does find 2 targets above him, which is not a surprise, but the C4 is going to be placed, and unfortunately isn't able to find the target.
And remember that kitchen hatch is still intact. Oh, what was that? Not sure what happened there. Kitchen hatch is still intact. There should be 1 set of X-Kairos left for Warden, but there's no more impact grenades for Leb. Just a single pellet detonated, which isn't enough to actually break the hatch. You need 3. The Warden's going to give this another shot in a minute, but he needs to worry about Spruce down below. No shots exchanged either way. On the land, anyhow. I believe that's an Electroclaw on the kitchen hatch. I'm not sure, I didn't quite see, but yep, there is indeed. So, should be pretty much impossible for Warden to open that hatch. Ferox have to change their attack here.
And they've only got 55 seconds as well to adapt to this change. Shade.
Like a little
whenever
nod
you... It's like, all right, we're ready? Are you ready? I'm ready. No, really, it's a matter of, are you ready, Shade? Throw those Candelas in. Go and find 2 kills. That's all he's really got to do. It's easy. He's done it a couple of times already here on Clubhouse. Is he prepared for it here again? No. Oh no, yes, that means they've lost the diffuser. Well, it's time for Shay to make a play here with Candela. Throws one in, Boats found another one. Leb gets Todd as well.
No,
Candela's
he
you can
ran
throw in the middle.
past
You're
him.
like, he ran past one, puts it up on the Boats. May still come back for what he left behind. He gets Campo. The one he left behind is the one that meets his demise. Oh, a strange round. Kanga get a win. They're on the board here on Clubhouse.
This is so enjoyable. This is just crazy every single round. What is this? This game just plays out so strangely on Clubhouse when you have both Thatcher and Maverick banned and Ying is being abused to its full effect. I love it. And yeah, so many unfortunate mishaps there. I'm like, it was not only the fact that I think it was Leb playing the Kaid. Not only did he manage to get Sushi, who was playing Thermite, but also managed to get the second player who fell on through there. And then Shade ran right past the guy who was playing on the church wall. I mean, that was, one little swipe of the mouse from Shade to check that left corner. It was one swipe of the mouse away from being a Ferox round there.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
We go to CCTV and Cash for the first time. Fifth round in on Clubhouse. Does this turn the tides for you and Kanga, and your thoughts on how they're sort of progressing here on Clubhouse? Do they have to got, 3 rounds for you to be confident for them, or is 2 enough? I sense probably 2 is not enough. I think they've got to at least halve it up here on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, if you gave me this ban phase and you said, how many defenses should you be winning? I would be saying 4, maybe 5. And Kanga, maximum they can do is 3. So not a great look. And I'm not just trying to harp on Kanga. I firmly believe that this Thatcher and Maverick ban is just very difficult to deal with.
Attackers are heading out to defuse the bomb.
Ferox weren't, perfect at it, but it also relies on the attackers abusing it. And I think this is a great example from what Campo is doing right now. That first Electroclaw on the left side, there's just no way you can destroy that. Unless if you maybe throw a grenade in through the drone hole, but of course you have the ADS there to protect it. There's just no way that you can destroy that Electrical from below, from above, from any other direction unless you're at the top of red stairs, which the attackers will never be able to get to. And that second Electrical through the floor, I don't believe that it can be shot from lounge. I might be wrong on that one, but it'll be very difficult nonetheless. So Ferox, surely we'll see something crazy from them. Looks like maybe a construction side push, not potentially going for that main kennels wall, as Ferox begin to mount on the master side.
Problem is, if you don't have pressure on that kennel's wall and then it just takes away one less avenue of attack in. We've seen time and time again teams pushing through construction. Can you get control of garage? And then you've got Kennel's wall. Garage is tough because typically you'll have a player up in rafters. After just having a cheeky peek. You found one, but getting behind the counter from Cash. Not sure exactly who it is, didn't quite see in time, but oh, it just gets completely demolished by Spruce though.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
Still players pushing in from Con. It's Warden at the moment, contesting the same angle as his dead teammate. Oh, spots out Spruce on the rotation. Sushi opening up this wall. Ooh, an impact thrown over to Deny. That's from Spruce, who's getting very aggressive here. Takes a lot of damage for it, but he's still peeking. Warden and him exchange shots, and now Spruce completely exposed as the wall from construction is opened into Cash. Still, remember, nothing on the Kennel side. Oh no, missed flash.
The attackers
Now pushing on through. A lot of time to work with. There's the kill on Spruce. Nicely done. Evens up the numbers.
You mentioned the time to work with, and yes, you're right. 45 seconds still remaining. It's enough time for Ferox. Oh, but that's not going to be handy. Shade just walking straight into the path of Campo. This is the problem, though. Where do you find an avenue to push in? They're just going to have to funnel through construction.
Attackers from
I mean, Sushi can make a play, I guess, from the balcony, but that's it. They don't have garage. They don't have a Kennel's wall open. It's very easy for Kanga to just hold these angles. Novaix is going to pick off Warden. Trades will follow as the kills do follow suit afterwards in a quick manner. Kanga take the round in a probably not too surprising fashion.
And that really impactful pick there was Campo taking out the Ying of Shade. You mentioned that there were really so few avenues for Ferox to push through, and yeah, that's very much because they just had no chance at opening up the Kennel's wall. Garage was a long shot as well, pushing up from Red was probably a long shot. They didn't have anyone pressing from below like a buck to displace the positions in sight or top red. So it really relied on using that Ying to just force down the bottleneck. And as soon as Shade was taken out, they lost all that utility with it.
Crucial, though, that Kanga go on and take this next round, make it 3-3, because if they don't, you know, you can quite evidently see how difficult it is without that Maverick Thatcher to open up more avenues on this map of Clubhouse. So it is very much defender-sided in that sense, and yet 2-3 in favor of Ferox. Flawlessly took that third round. Since then, though, Kanga have stepped up their game a bit.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back defenses. It's not everything, but it's something. I'm going to come back to us for a second when we just get this rehost done and dusted. But, I mean, yeah, it's a fair point. And look, if Kanga can come out of this at 3-3 at the half, that's not bad. And it means that as long as they can get a couple of attacks, maybe there's a chance of sending this to overtime, maybe even closing it before overtime. I don't see them getting 4 attacks, not unless if Ferox is doing something really wrong on their defensive side, which I just don't see very likely. But I can totally see a world here where Kanga just come back with another defense. Finally, they start to realize how to counter some of this aggression and the Ying in particular from Ferox, and just play into the bans that are there and get back into the game. It's definitely on the cards.
It's easy to counter the Ying if you just take the Ying player out of the equation altogether and eliminate Shade early on. So that's one way of doing it.
What I would love to see is when, let's say Kanga is trying to abuse the Ying. Let's see if Ferox bringing the Warden, and I want Warden to play it so I can see Warden playing Warden, because that would just be beautiful.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that would be awesome to see. But look, moving forward with this matchup now, it's what, 2-3. We've got one more round in this half. And for Kanga's sake, you know, we've touched on it. You've touched on it explicitly that they should have done better on their defense. They've got one more opportunity here to at least tie it up 3-3. I don't think it's out of the question to say if they can tie up this half, there's no reason why Kanga can't then, you know, perform in a similar manner to Ferox and pick up 3 themselves. We may still yet have another overtime on our hands here in Clubhouse, depending on how this plays out. I will say if Ferox make it 4-2 at the half, makes it a lot more difficult than for Kanga.
Very much so, and even if it is 3-3, I still think that Kanga are probably going to be at best seeing overtime. Maybe they can win it out in overtime, but I just don't see them getting 4 attacks. So look, maybe I'll be proved wrong here, but just keep in mind that Ferox, not only did they pick this map, so they knew they were going to it, but they also were the team that chose to add that Thatcher on top of the Maverick. Kanga banned Maverick, and then it comes to Ferox, and they decide, look, we know that Maverick is banned. Do we want to get rid of the Thatcher? Because that's going to completely change the landscape, especially on our attacks, especially in respect of Kaid. If the Kaid is brought on the defense consistently and played well, then it's almost impossible to open up certain walls with Thatcher and Maverick banned, unless you could try to bring a Kali, but even then it's not always going to be it's not always going to get the job done. So Ferox were the ones who not only picked this map, but also decided to create this environment with no Thatcher and no Maverick. So they're the ones who are going to be, in theory, better prepared to deal with it. And they did have a cheese strat. I mean, I don't really like using the word cheese, but it's just like an unorthodox brute force strategy of the Ying, and it was working against Kanga until it wasn't. So they, in theory, should be just much better prepared to deal with this environment than Kanga should be. So I got Ying on the brain.
Yeah, Ying's on the mind right now. I think it's because we haven't really seen much of her in really this season of Six Masters, and we're probably seeing her put to use the most here in this matchup than what we've seen in recent times. It's almost like how I had Mira on the brain. I think it was last night. Because she's been banned 13 times in a row, and she wasn't banned that one match, and I was like thinking she was banned when I was talking. No, she didn't, because
on that match.
they ran the Goyo instead. But yeah, so for Kanga, big opportunity. I keep saying it. They had their opportunities on Coastline. That didn't work for them, but they win this round. At least they tie up the half. They know what happened last time on Coastline when they tied up the half. They were able to then send it all the way to overtime. Ferox started strong. You win 2 in a row. That's cool. But you win 3 in a row. That puts a bit of doubt into the minds of Ferox as well.
Yeah, if Ferox do let this next one slip, then sure, there's going to be a bit of doubt there. Maybe a bit of hesitation going into their defenses, which is where Ferox should be more comfortable here, like I've been hammering on about. But if there is that doubt and they're a little bit less comfortable, maybe they're going to be a bit more susceptible to some crazy stuff coming out from Kanga to get around these weird bans. Maybe Ferox, if they're a bit on the back foot, they'll just make some silly mistakes, won't take advantage of these operator bans as they are present. So there's definitely an opportunity here if Kanga can close this one out. If they don't, that's just going to be a huge task going into the second half on the attack, winning 4 attacks. And I don't really know if Kanga have like as prolific a Ying player as Ferox do with Shade. We've seen him before. He loves it. He froths it. So Kanga, without that, they're going to have to figure out something else. Funnily enough, just touching on that Ying again for Shade, he's played it every single round so far, 5 rounds in a row. That said, just before we had the rehearse, we got a peek in and saw the operator select phase. He picked the Ying again, no one's surprised, and then he 6-picked onto the Ash. Maybe there's something there. Maybe we're actually going to see a little bit of a change, and the Ying won't get picked.
Maybe. Could also be reading too much into it. Could be something that they want to just try something a bit different going into this, last attack for them in this half. They've got a little bit of time now because of this rehost to also maybe plan it out, maybe change their mind, and maybe change their game plan as well going into this final attack. Since you've got one more, you can do things a little bit more unorthodox when it's that last round and just try and surprise rather than play the usual style. What's been interesting for me is that, the fact that there's no Maverick, no Thatcher, and yet those 2 basement sides were able to get taken, I won't say comfortably, certainly not with ease, but the fact that Ferox was able to get them twice, and it wasn't until we headed up to that second floor that we saw success for Kanga, which is probably where you're going to see a bit more of the use out of the Maverick as well, which is interesting how that plays out and the difference between the 2 sites. So we'll see if that trend continues when we switch sides. Eager to see whether or not Ferox has trouble, say, with basement, but is fine up on that second floor. I would have thought it would have been maybe the other way around. I mean, basement's hard enough as it is, but that second floor, typically we see Maverick is usually always going to be opening up that Kennel's wall. That's not a case here. As you mentioned, it's not going to be possible on the Habana and Thermite.
Yeah, I think that the reason why Kanga just struggled on that Church and Arsenal defense was just because Ferox were too good at opening kitchen hatch and then abusing the absolute heck out of Ying to completely overrun all the defenders and force that plant down. And the strategy for Ferox wasn't necessarily to kill everyone, but the Ying is just distracting long enough for them to force the plant down. And every time the plant went down, they were in a low numbers post plant, 2v2s and such, but the attackers were still favored out of those. And so, I mean, it could be the same. It depends on whether Kanga adopts a similar strategy. There's not really any other way you can do it other than with a Ying on that kind of rush, but you could adopt a completely different strategy. You could do the more methodical take, try and actually remove some of the electroclaws, let's say on the moto hatch using grenades or such, and do a more like stereotypical take. But it's interesting to see how the bans change the way that the game plays, because what we would typically see, at least a lot of the time on that basement these days, is the roam, the SSG roam with the castle, mute, Mozzie, vigil. That's super prevalent these days. And when you've got Thatcher and Maverick banned, Kanga were just thinking, no, we're so like the operator bans have set us up perfectly for a full total, so we're going to do that. And maybe that's also going to flip on its head when Ferox get down there. Maybe they're going to decide to do a more default roam despite the operator ban. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility, and it'll depend on, I think, primarily how Ferox decides when they switch to the defense eventually to take in their mentality into this game. Is it business as usual, or do they really try to play into the bans? And then how does Kanga work around that?
The other thing as well is also for Ferox's sake, again, going back to what I mentioned earlier about round differential, how that's going to play into things as we get towards the end next week, and whether or not that's going to play a card. The way it's been this season is a lot of teams have sort of beaten up on Kanga. They've been able to increase their round differential, plus because of the fact that there's been all 7-0s or 7-2s. Obviously wasn't the case in Coastline, 8-7. But here on Clubhouse, I thought maybe coming into it, especially the fact that it was 3-0, Ferox might have had an opportunity to get a bit of that round differential go their way here in this match. It may not be the case, and it may just be another scenario where they just honestly would be happy to just get the 3 points here on Clubhouse and vacate. But then it stems to the question, Ferox have got Sinister next week, and right now they've really been put to the sword from Kanga, the team that's 0-10, the team that has struggled week in, week out this season. They've got new debutant. It's been a rebuilding season. Is Ferox a team that's really going to be able to compete for top 4 if they can't get past the team that's in 8? Even if they do get past them like they did on Coastline, it's not in a convincing manner.
Yeah, it's a great point. Coastline was definitely anything but a landslide for Ferox, so you make a good point. It's not just that they're going to have to dispatch with Kanga in a 2-0 here, but then Sinister next week. That's not the only game Ferox have remaining. I'm just going to double check. It's also LFO. So I think Ferox would be banking on the 2-0 here, hopefully the 2-0 against LFO, and then that puts them with a chance at making top 4. Against Sinister, I think obviously we're a bit more skeptical about Ferox's chances, but hey, it's possible. In the past, those two teams have been very competitive with each other. That said, last time Sinister played Ferox, it was Sinister who edged away a 7-5 victory. That was back in March for the Pro League. So, look, there is a bit of movement there. I think for Ferox, like you're saying, the stakes really are that if you want to make playoffs, you need to do away with Kanga, you need to do away with LFO, and maybe if you can take a map off of Sinister, that'll be on your side as well.
Yeah, exactly, right? I think that's sort of the game plan they probably had. 2-0 Kanga, at the very least draw with Sinister, and then 2-0 LFO, and see if that's then enough to get you into that top 4 position for placement. That would put them at around 24 points from just the very quickest of quick maths, which may be enough. And a lot of that then comes down to also how teams like Akami and LFO themselves perform too at the end of next week, right? Since this is, of course, the last game for this week. So Ferox have got games in hand. They're still, like the other teams that are also going to have games in hand, LFO themselves, Akami, and Wildcard. Wildcard's is a bit of a non-factor in that regard, but for Akami, LFO, and Ferox, I mean, I'm putting my stake to the claim here, but one of those teams, or maybe even 2 of those teams, I should say. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say 2 of those teams are going to make top 4, joining Sinister and Wildcard Gaming. So, and by me saying that, that means I think Knights and Elevate won't make it. My reason for that is because Knights have got Wildcard next week, and they're only sitting on 18 points. And it seems like 24 points might be the ballpark figure needed to make top 4. So that's sort of where I'm at there as we continue to hopefully not too much longer wait through this rehost.
You reckon 24 points is the ballpark for getting top 4? Because that's currently where we see Sinister sitting at the moment on the 24. And I mean, I'm actually just on Wikipedia right now. It says Wildcard are on 24 as well, but I don't think that actually factored in tonight's games. Oh, it's got the first of tonight's games, but not the second one. So what we would have Wildcard on 27, Sinister on 24, Okami currently 21. You reckon 24 is the standard you need to get into the playoffs?
Well, I said it's around the ballpark figure, right? It might not be that exact number. It might not be that exact number as we have a look at the standings while we
Thank you,
push
production.
through this rehost. Yeah, this is perfect. Lovely. Best production team in the world. So that just sort of, I guess, relays that. Team Ferox, by the way, I've got to say, have jumped out of the bottom too. So that's, and from there onwards, they will actually jump above Elevate if they win this clubhouse because of the round differential. They haven't got the round differential compared to the top 4, but if you beat Okami, it's not going to matter.
So I'm just trying to figure out the round differential of all of this. So Knights have played Ferox, right? I'm just trying to scroll through and find that game. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. No, they have the round differential against Knights as well, according to my stats, because it was a 7-4 and then a 7-3. So Ferox actually have one more round against Knights. So they've got the head-to-head against Knights. They don't have the head-to-head against LFO because that game's yet to happen. And they've played Okami as well, and they don't have the head-to-head. Actually, they have the head-to-head against Okami as well. What is this? Xenox, my dude. Ferox actually has it. I'm just saying, bro. Ferox has the head-to-head. They have one more, because how it works, guys, for those who don't know, we have a tiebreaker system. So when teams are on the same number of points, there's several factors that then get there's a hierarchy of factors. So it's like, okay, if teams are on the same number of points, then check this, who wins that tiebreaker. If that's even, then check this, etc., etc. And basically what you need to know is that when the two teams played each other, who won more rounds in that series? Not just who won more maps, but who won more rounds. So for example, when we go against Ferox and Knights, that was a 7-4 to Knights and a 7-3 to Ferox, which means in total, Ferox won 11 rounds in the series and Knights only won 10. So Ferox win the head-to-head, and they do the same against Okami. So that means if Ferox end up with like 18 points or 21 points in that same kind of vein as Okami or Knights, it's totally possible that Ferox steals ahead. And I'm starting to think that because of that, and because of the fact that Ferox have not only this game right now where they can get points, but also a series against LFO and a series against Sinister, it's totally possible that they could end up in that top 4 as long as they lock this out against Kanga.
I did actually make a call. I think you pinned it in one of our messages. I already have gone ahead very early and made the call. I think Wildcard, Sinister, Okami, and LFO will be the 4 teams. And you know, it's interesting when I say that LFO sitting in second last, and you're like, what? How? I mean, LFO can do it simply because of the fact that it comes down to what I think will be the series between Ferox and LFO to decide who gets 4th. That's how I think it's going to play out. It may not happen that way. We say all this and we think about all the possibilities, but then maybe next week Pittsburgh just come out in 2-0 wildcard. Something crazy like that. And then all of a sudden they would be on 24 points while they wouldn't have the difference with Ferox. That still puts them in the equation.
We're definitely putting a lot of stake on Sinister here too, because if Ferox can take a map or two off of Sinister, that again just blows the standings out of proportions. We're about to jump into the game, guys, but you get to see our faces one more time before we do. I think with all of this, that GIF, which is just like all of the numbers floating in front of the person's face.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel right now talking about this. Yeah. That's how I feel talking about standings right now. And I'm not just saying this because it's, fun and hype, but Ferox in 3rd last place still have a chance at making top 4. LFO in 2nd last place still have a chance at making top 4. We have 7 teams and 3 of them aren't going to make it, but 4 of them definitely are. And any 7, it could be any combination.
It's something that wasn't expected to happen with the structure of 6 Masters as we get back into Clubhouse, but the the playdate last week being delayed has really brought upon not this issue, but this circumstance. We would have had Alpha and Ferox already played last week. You would have had those matches on the standings. We would have already had Akami and see, okay, do they get anything from Wildcard? And so that would have then made this whole guessing game a lot easier, but a lot less fun. It would have been a bit more boring because we would have had a bit more of an idea. But since we don't have those games played, it means you're going to have those double ups. That fact that Akami, Alifo, and Ferox are all going to play 2 series next week, whereas a couple of others, of course, are playing their final matches, like Pittsburgh, for example, and Alve and Sinister.
So the 2 TLDR for you guys is make sure you're watching Six Masters next week. We have a super week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. AEST. That's Sydney/Melbourne. That's Eastern Australian time, except for Queensland. Oh, actually, no, we're on the same time zone as Queensland, aren't we, at the moment, because we don't have daylight. So there you go. Be there or be square.
Bit of a long TLDR.
Damn it.
Time zone information. Dev, it's okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I've
Back
failed
into
you.
Clubhouse, we can breathe a bit here and get back into the games. And well, Shay did commit to the Ash. We spoke about it before at the start of the rehost that he has been playing Ying, but for this final attacking round of Ferox, we'll go over to Ash. I don't know, actually, I didn't see if he 6-picked it or not a second time, but regardless, it is the Ash.
Don't quote me on this. I can get an admin to confirm, but I'm pretty sure that you have to pick the same operators you picked for your
No, but
like when
did
the
he
rehost
6-pick
happened.
it?
I assume so, but it doesn't matter because the team.
Right.
Like, it's been more than 3 minutes, so the team could have watched the stream and saw that he picked it anyway. Oh, there's a player in logistics already. Campo sees that. That office control is huge here for Deptra and Todd. Need to be careful. They are vulnerable to C4s. Of course, the bomb site is gym and bedroom. This is quite aggressive from Ferox thus far, and Shade droned up from below, but he's taken out from Lounge. Spruce on the roam. Not sure what he was doing there, but it works. Shade punished. He's now a null factor. Is there a C4 in Spruce's pocket? There is. Can he find this C4 onto the player in office? They moved away just in time. Todd and Deptra still safe. And Todd, Spruce, short of a C4.
Well, still with 2 impact grenades, he was able to be precise with them in one of the previous rounds. Spruce has found a second one, this time onto Sushi. Well, we've spoken at great lengths how important it would be for Kanga to win this round and tie it up at the half. Fortunately, though, Todd was able to find one back there. Still over in logistics for Ferox. Close by to the bomb site. 40 seconds, a lot of time. But they've got a disadvantage in the numbers department. 3 versus 4. Campo's half health. Kind of the final 30 seconds of this 6th round.
Still, Warden is alive for hard breach, but all 3 players from Ferox are just funneled in that logistics office. C4 comes out, but Boats connects bullets with the UMP. Warden to find a trade back. 2 versus 2. Warden for another one. How close is this? Can Warden secure this plant? No, the ACOG casing just makes it so. Todd can't see, and now Warden has to clutch against 2. Can't even find the first one, and Kanga do even out our half, 3-3. So it's looking possible going into their attack.
And just like Coastline, the first half all tied up at 3-3. Will we have another similar second half as well and another 3-3? About to find out. Although Dev doesn't believe in the Kanga train. He thinks that ship has sailed. Doesn't suspect that they'll be able to get 4 attacking round wins. The interesting thing, though, is now that we switch halves, 3-3, mentioned before that you think that the defense is at an advantage here for Ferox. Well, this is their time to show that. If they lose, say, one of the first opening 2 rounds, a lot of pressure then on their shoulders. And everything that happened then on Coastline may be for naught. Kanga might still get this map win, and Ferox may still lose their chance of playoffs.
That's true. There's definitely a possibility here for Kanga. Mind you, a lot of work to be done. I've just been harping on all game about the Maverick bans and the Thatcher bans, but really does enable the Kaid, which Detra is playing, to deny so many opportunities, so many walls. So I just don't see it happening here. But Kanga, of course, look, it's on them. They will have to deal with not only that heavy anchor of Ferox, but also Sushi, who's going potentially for a bit of a spawn peek. No, just looking for drones at the moment. He's actually going to run outside just to look for more. And on the Vigil, using his ability to hide from those drones, Kanga will have to be ever so cautious. Even when Sushi's on the bottom floor, while he has his gadget activated, it's very difficult for Kanga to figure out what floor he's on, because the radius of that gadget is a sphere, not just a circle, so it works vertically as well as laterally.
Church and Arsenal for Kanga's defense. I can't recall, but I'm pretty sure they never won a round defensively down to the basement. I may be wrong. Definitely didn't win the first couple. Yeah, they won one at the end, but the first two attempts at it went into the favor of Ferox. Nice roam. As Campo is going to be spotted.
Yeah, I don't really know how that first pick came out so easily, but Warden just gets a freebie. It's a bit less utility there on the board for Kanga. And of course, a man down. Campo's going to have to sit on drones. Leb taking that control, just keeping an eye out. Wants to see where that Vigil is as well. Of course, you can detect Vigil using that electronic scanner from IQ. Droning up. Vigil on site here, but using his ability. And that'll give a little notification to any drones in the area. Make them unaware of his position, make them think maybe he's upstairs. But I think Kanga have figured this out. A nade's likely going to come out here to destroy that electric claw. Surely that's it from Spruce. Clearing out the ADSs. Is this going to work? Nope, it missed. Oh. And the electric claw is still there. So Spruce needs to work on his baseball technique. Maybe the second one got it. I'm judging by the fact that Boats has abandoned that it didn't get it. And that's unfortunate for Kanga. And basically all hope of opening up this Moto hatch basically gone.
"45 seconds as well. A lot of time wasted trying to get rid of that electric claw. And in the end, for nothing. No real result coming from that. Now they're going to have to change their plan of attack. And can push through dirt, try and at least get a different avenue of attack. It's very one-dimensional. Doesn't clear the smoke in time. Able to be detonated quickly by Shade before losing it. Spruce might send two now through here for Kanga. Shade is waiting very close by, though, here in dirt. Throws out another smoke. So much time just pushing through. No chance, really, to flawless round for Ferox as they open up their defense.
Not even a look in for Kanga there. No chance at opening any of those hatches. No chance filing in through dirt. Ferox had all of their bases covered. Kanga just had absolutely no answer. And the bomb site that they failed to defend 2 rounds in a row before finally getting one on their third attempt. Well, Ferox get a hole in one.
Over to CCTV and Cash, though, and without the Maverick, without Thatcher, not many avenues of attack are going to be available for Kanga. And this is where you expect we should be seeing Ferox take this site and hold it successfully. If they're able to do that, 3-5, and they can just gain a bit of space on the scoreboard away from Kanga this entire series, both Coastline and Clubhouse. Back and forth, back and forth. A lot of messy fights. Structure out the window. Just pure instinct at play. But we've spoken about these bans, the Maverick, the Thatcher. And this is where it's really going to play into effect.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned those bans both being present, of course. It's going to be nigh impossible to open up that wall on Kennels with those electric claws placed in clever positions from Ferox. I like this too. This Goyo shield placed quite close to this construction door. Where is he going to put it? Hasn't quite decided yet. Just provides a little bit more protection if that construction wall is opened up late round. Sushi has a little bit more protection playing inside a cache. Also, of course, he can blow it and then denies any kind of entry for Kanga. Boats using some X-Kairos on the garage walls. So potentially a garage-centric take for Kanga. It could work out, but of course you have to be mindful that Shade is on the rafters. With those magnets in pocket, he can protect himself from any projectiles as well.
I mean, garage has to be an option, though. We saw on Team Ferox's attacking round, they didn't attempt through garage at all. Instead, they could only funnel through construction. Definitely didn't work. Wasn't even close to working. If they can get through garage, get control of rafters, you don't even need the kennel wall at that point open. Send a couple through construction, you can have one on the balcony, and then one coming through garage. Makes it very difficult then for Ferox, but losing Lep and that Jackal, not ideal at all now for Kanga's attack. 3-5 may just be looming. Makes it even more difficult now to take garage because they don't even have the numbers. They can't really overwhelm that position and commit, say, 2 players walking through. Although this kennels wall has been opened up, Vaix does give Kanga a new avenue if he wants to push through that eventually at the last second.
It's actually quite significant they're opening up the kennels wall. Looks like this is shaping up to be a very normal kind of attack. It's as if the Maverick and Thatcher weren't banned. But of course, garage is the next question on the agenda for Kanga on this attack. Shade been drained out multiple times. There are 2 players pushing him. Novaix lands the shot. Essential here, and now in this 4 versus 4, Kanga have a huge opportunity to push on in.
And they've still got a minute. Kennels is open. I mean, garage is now in control. And if they want to send someone back through construction, you got the balcony, you got every avenue now open and available. As you said, this is going to be a bit more of a normality round now for Kanga's attack. Big opportunity to capitalize here, tie things up, send it back to 4-4. They did lose Leb, but as you said and as we saw, Shade did get taken out. Novaix can now just push in, put this bomb down in CCTV. No. Smokes her out from Todd. Is he going to be able to deny it? No. Novaix is going to suffer and choke on that gas, but he does get the plant down. Todd gets the elimination, but it's a 3 versus 3 with 35 seconds. The counter defuse for Ferox is vital.
Good coverage downstairs from Spruce. There's another defender down there. Spruce spots him. It's the smoke, and he wins that fight as well. Kanga, against all odds, do manage to steal away an attack here onto Cash, and it almost looked like those bans weren't relevant when Kanga stepped into the server. Great stuff. There was the early pick against them as well on the Jackal. Cleared out nice on an early, but they had Kennel's wall open once half the round was over, and only 30 seconds later, garage was clear. Once they got the plant down, there was, I mean, even before, as they were attempting to get the plant down, Ferox had inadequate plant denial. That first smoke babe missing, the second one securing the kill, but it just wasn't enough. And of course, leaving your team in a 3 versus 3 post plant is just something that's not possible. Not ideal for the defense here.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being
So
defused
Jim
by
and
attackers.
master bedroom. Not going very far is Ferox, still on the 2nd floor. Can Kanga find a lead here on Clubhouse? The tune is now shifting. And was 1K's thought to be a very Ferox-sided map. It's now been 4-1 in the last 5 rounds depth. Kanga have been able to bring what they had on Coastline over the Clubhouse, continue to extend this series and keep us all guessing. Will they pick up their first map win? 0-11 at the moment. Will it be 0-12 or 1-11?
The 4-4 is actually looking pretty good, mind you. Ferox still on that defense. I have no doubts that if Ferox re-attempted that cash defense, cash and CCTV, they could win it. But not yet. They're just going to keep on moving on. As Kanga begin to get some early pressure in through garage, is to be very wary of that oil pit presence from Deptra. That said, if Deptra's droned out, he's a freebie. Doesn't seem like Campo is very cautious of this position, however. Mostly distracted by Warden, who's found the 2 opening picks 2 rounds in a row. Biner pellets ringing out as well. Not sure where that Xkaris was placed. In garage, in fact, looking into CCTV. So far, Deptra, no presence, no pressure.
Does have the presence, but not the pressure. I mean, the presence is not visible to Kanga, but it doesn't need to be, not at this point anyway. We can push up, become a bit more of a playable figure later on in this round. Still a lot of time here to be played. Deptra doesn't have to panic, doesn't have to move. May still expect someone from Kanga to rotate back down through oil pit, or he may just make the push himself at some point. The Vax is now going to push in through Kennel's wall and join Campo over towards Cash as they get closer and closer. Now electing to push through construction. They've got presence on the balcony as well. Kanga are playing this really well. You said no doubt you thought Ferox would have been able to defend CCTV and Cash. Similar site, similar location. So far, Kanga are still playing this very well in a similar vein to how they played the last round. Minute 15 remaining.
Yeah, this is excellent from Kanga. They have all the map control that they like, but they don't have that wall open onto Jacuzzi, so there's a lot of power positions, for example, where Sushi is, that can be impactful. Deptra's on for this flank, however. The Biner pellets may be not useful. This hole might not be enough, and there's still a player on the Kennel's wall he has to be so cautious of. Potentially there's a drone that would have seen where Deptra was. Leb pushes in, and maybe Deptra actually can enable this flank as Leb jumps outside. Deptra could save this round for his team.
Definitely going to be able to find one as he takes down Leb, who was just starting to look through the window towards gym and bedroom. Now the push is going to come in from the rest of Kanga. They're responding to losing Leb. They can take the bedroom. 20 seconds remaining in what is now a 4 versus 3. Warden is injured, though. It's actually a 4 versus 2. Is the round slipping away from Ferox? A lot of Kanga's members are very, very low. Sushi sitting in the bathroom. The SMG is able to take out both. He can get more. Oh, the C4 gets through from Sushi. The Vax and Kappa didn't realize what hit them. And all of a sudden, a 4 versus 3 turns into a 1 versus 3, but in the favor of Ferox. Deptra, the flank, it was successful. He gets the counter defuse, and Ferox gets the round.
I mean, that was a huge play from Sushi. That double C4 was what clawed Ferox back into that game. I was wondering all the while, where is Deptra? He was on for that flank, but he didn't seem to get too excited on it. He wanted to hang back. He didn't want to get picked off, and Kanga was no doubt suspicious of that flank after the first pick from Deptra. But an excellent round for Sushi, not only to get that pick onto the player peeking him in bathroom, but then the double C4 to turn that post play into a winnable scenario. A huge play. And Ferox are back in this and can head down to Church and Arsenal room for another attempt.
Kanga's so close to taking a 5-4 lead on Clubhouse. Still yet to lead here on Clubhouse, in fact, though. That was the closest they'd been for a very, very long time. As you mentioned, back down to Church and Arsenal here for round number 10. This entire series has gone the distance. We had a 8-7 overtime on Coastline, and Clubhouse at this point is shaping up to be similar, unless Ferox can hold the defense down in the basement, 6-4, and that's a lot of perceived scoreboard pressure then onto Kanga. It'll be 2 match points for Ferox.
What are you doing, Sushi? What is this? Oh. Alright. Just just abandons it. He's like, nah, I'll just chuck it here instead. What's he doing?
Like, wait, it's like, oh no, wait, what if I... no, okay, I'll put it here.
They're trying to destroy
Check
the
it.
wall.
Yeah, that'll do.
Alright. That'll do, pig. So, Ferox won this bomb site last time. Both grenades from Spruce missed the electric claw that was on Moto Hatch, and it looks like Ferox just changing their strategy. They're going for very similar to an SSG roam, but they're not actually roaming, of course. Well, at least 4 players are on the bomb site. Not quite sure where. Oh no, Shade's on the bomb site too. Yeah, all 4 players back on site. I like this. Not only have they done the kind of SSG roam with the castle barricades, no doubt mute jammers, and Mozzie Pest upstairs, but they have still reinforced the 3 main hatches because they know that's going to be a thorn in Kanga's side. Typically, SSG roam, you wouldn't reinforce those hatches because you would just have your roamers drop down late round, but Ferox know that it's going to be really hard for Kanga to open those hatches, especially with the electric claws on them, so just leave them reinforced, especially since the roam is just a fake bait anyway. They're not actually roaming.
To be fair to Kanga, they've been pretty quick getting onto, or at least around near site. This may slow them down, so Ferox have sort of identified that. Thought, okay, what's one way we can really slow them down? Put a bit of clock pressure on them towards later in the rounds. Don't give them so much time. Leb just pushing through, clearing things out. They'll definitely catch on pretty quickly. Fair to say for Kanga, minute and a half remaining. But as you said, by the time you do catch on, by the time you do try and then open up those hatches, you're giving yourself very little time, and it will end up being, say, a 20 or 30-second push from Kanga at the end. They can get a bit of presence over in kitchen if they want to open up this floorboard. C4s still obviously have to be careful of those.
Oh!
And well, speaking of being careful of C4s, there's another double kill C4. We heard one in the last round. Deptra finds one here. Campo at least able to find a trade. It's only one onto Warden. I'm not sure, did Warden push up?
I'm not sure about that, but man, Deptra with that C4, huge. A couple of nades thrown out from Spruce trying to take out Deptra in church, but nothing so far. Campo walks into a lesion mine near oil pit. Sushi just dueling with it at the moment. Campo is still in his pocket. And he's going to go down there to Sushi. Ferox in a 4 versus 2 now, and there's just no time for this to work for Kanga.
Spruce is injured as well, so Nevaix is the only one left standing, although he's hardly standing. He's more like crouching and trying to avoid the fire. He'll take out, well, Todd will take out Nevaix, but
5 seconds left.
Spruce actually getting back up means that it's a 1 versus 2, but not going to get any plants down. So 4 versus 6 on the scoreboard now. Ferox have got 2 match points as Clubhouse is slipping away from Kanga.
If anything, that was a more convincing defense round. And once again, Ferox get that opening pick, and not only was it a 1 in this case, but it was the 2K of the C4. Yes, you mentioned there was a trade. Warden was taken out, but from then on, there was still no answer for Kanga. I didn't actually see what operators it was that were lost nice and early, but I'm going to assume that after that C4 went off, Kanga thought, okay, our hopes and dreams of opening up any of these hatches are just gone. So move on, and they tried to do a dirt push with 2 players, but we've seen how good Ferox are at holding against that. Fun fact, every single round in this half, every single defense from Ferox, they have got the opening pick. Really just never letting Kanga get a look in. Now going back to Church, rather Cash and CCTV. This is the bomb site where I really feel like they could have won last time if they just had a little bit better plant denial or a little bit better wall denial.
Yeah, being able to protect the electrical a bit better. I don't think we actually saw how it was taken out. We saw obviously on the attack from Ferox, they weren't able to take it out themselves. And that Kennel's wall stayed put, made it really difficult for them. They then lost the round. And Kanga being able to open it up obviously helped them win the round.
10 seconds to go.
And this is the match point now. If you go for a risky play, I mean, it wasn't a convincing win. You said if you fix things up a bit, Ferox should be able to take this.
Well, we'll see. Where is Deptra putting these electric claws? Is it just the 1? Because he's got 2 in his pocket right now. I really like the electrical we saw from Kanga, which was 1 right near the TVs, just in front of where... okay, he's just doing 1 on that wall. He wants to save 1 for the garage wall. Now, I understand that because there was a strong push on garage from Kanga last round, And if Deptra can put one, oh, he's actually going to wait for the X-Kairos to detonate so that he can trick it and then save his second one. He hears the X-Kairos go out, starts to detonate. He knows he's not going to get that one, so does manage to trick that single hole, and that's all 3 X-Kairos gone. But there is a crouchable hole into Garage for Kanga.
It's not going to be enough, though. They need to get kennels open at some point, too. To be fair, if they can get control of Garage and then Rafters after that, it's a start. The Vex was able to open this up last time. They get rid of the claw. No, they don't. No, they do. No, they don't. I think they missed the initial grenade. You can actually see the explosion just shy. And Deptra's going to make sure that it doesn't get droned out.
I think Campo tried to use a lifeline from the Zafia to impact it on the floor, but as you can see, the lifeline was just shy of its mark. And now Kanga have basically abandoned any hope of opening that Kennel's wall. Rotated it mostly to this garage side. A couple of drones coming in, but Shade's holding onto it with the MPX. Is Novax going to push this? Shade's ready to take a fight.
Only a minute and 10 seconds remaining. Shade's going to find one. He could have even got a second one. Does get flashed up in Rafters. Novax will peek through garage door. Quick peek back up from Shade. Doesn't find what he was looking for. He's going to get flamed out, though. Rafters control is now lost, at least for the time being. Of course, though, you still got Deptra over towards CCTV. Can keep an eye on that if he wants to. Never mind, he's actually fallen back to top red. 45 seconds. Match point, of course, for Ferox. It's all vital here in these last 40 seconds. If Kanga are going to have a chance to come back, they've got to win this round. 4 versus 3.
Novax to Thermite open the wall. Onto the plant spot. Campo to find another one. Just 2 players left for Ferox to hold on. Can Kanga stay in this a little bit longer? Novax to start that plant. Is there denial? Deptra has a C4 in hand. The plant gets off. The drone sees him, though, so they're going to try and go deep. Is this plant going to work? Deptra has no idea where it is. He's just going to go for a blind C4, but it's not the right spot. It does find Campo, but that's not the planter. But it's now a 2 versus 2. Even in this post-plant, this is possible for Ferox.
It might not have been the planter, but it's job done nonetheless. And the Vex is also very low. And because of that low health, Deptra was able to get the injure, the follow-up kill. Ferox will win it all. Deptra's C4 did the job. The counter defuse from Todd, 7-4 on Clubhouse. And Ferox will beat Kanga 2-0 in a fascinating, tantalizing series. Amazing from both teams.
From a 2 versus 4, Todd and Deptra. What a clutch for the map and the series. A well-deserved MVP for Deptra there on the Kaid. I love that grand larceny headgear there as well. We did have the rehost, so that's not your full scores just there, but man, that was such a long ride. That was only 4-7 there, but on top of the Coastline 15-round massacre, that was, I mean, it's been a long night.
Been a long night and a long series. It's hard to believe that earlier on in this night we had the wildcard elevate matchup, which we thought was probably going to go in a similar manner in terms of the closeness of the series. That didn't happen. Wildcard won pretty convincingly, 7-5 in the first map on Conceal and then 7-3 on Villa. But hey, Ferox get the job done in the end. Big congratulations to them. Their top 4 hopes are still very much alive now. But you've got to say, Dev, the last place Kanga really pushed them, especially on Coastline. They had 3 match points, and then on Clubhouse, it was still pretty close for what we thought was going to be a pretty comfortable map for Ferox.
Yeah, a bit of an F in chat there, though, for Kanga. I like what production have put on the little ribbon down the bottom there. But yeah, they did a really good fight, especially on Coastline. Especially that last round, that 15th round on Coastline, could have gone either direction in the last 30 seconds. And I felt the same way just there. I was very surprised to see Deptra and Todd pull off that 2 versus 4. Kanga did well to get themselves in the position to even potentially plant, potentially win that one. Kill after kill, garage control, rotating off kennels when it didn't work. Really good stuff. But again, Ferox was just too good to be overcome in that situation, and that's really great for Ferox because, like you're saying, it keeps the dream alive of potentially getting to playoffs, getting in those top 4. Next week they're going to play Sinister and LFO. And every single map that they win is going to increase their chances of making it up there in the top 4.
You know what's seriously intriguing is that we had the battle between 7th and 8th tonight. Well, next week will be the battle between 7th and 8th once again. It'll actually open up the first playday next week as well, LFO and Kanga. LFO obviously being leapfrogged by Team Ferox. They weren't the only team though. Elevate have been dropped to 6th. So LFO and Kanga opening up next week, 7th and 8th. Elevate dropping to 6th, and Ferox all the way up into 5th. As I said, competing for a top 4 position now. They're going to be playing against Sinister. We spoke about it at length as well during the rehost. What sort of calculations need to be sort of created in the mathematical minds as to how everything's going to proceed. But really, for a lot of these teams, even Pittsburgh to a degree, Akami, as long as they win their games and take care of things, the likelihood is they can still make top 4 convincingly. The problem is a team like Pittsburgh is going to be playing a wild card. That's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, there's still a lot of movement in the standings we could see. I know LFO's now sitting in 7th, but Ferox, they've made their way up a little bit, and they can definitely go even further than that.
Got our first set of the interviews between this series. It's going to be Spruce from Kanga. First and foremost, Spruce, commiserations on that Coastline performance. It was amazing to watch. It would have been heartbreaking to lose, though.
Very.
Oh, Spruce, you poor thing. It's been a tough season, hasn't it, man? I know it's we usually have lively interviews, but after a performance like that, you guys gave it your all. I just want to ask, what happened when you saw that Maverick and the Thatcher ban? What were you guys thinking about ways to kind of get around it? How did you try your best to deal with that on Clubhouse?
It wasn't so well. It was more our defenses which let us down on Clubhouse than anything. With that bans, you need to be able to defend bottom floor easily, which we lost twice. I'll leave up to how we lost that up to not the spectators, see if they actually saw why we lost that. But say our impacting will be better next time. So that way, it was just mainly our defenses where we messed ourselves up.
Mate, one of the, I guess, pleasing things, though, tonight's been the performance of Nevaix. It's certainly something that I wanted to highlight. He's been incredible coming in, debuting last week, played really well tonight. A bit of responsibility as well with, having the diffuser a lot of the times. He played really well, and I think as a team, I think you mentioned it 2 weeks ago, this is a bit of a rebuilding sort of season. That must be good signs, though, going forward, future of the team, that, you found a nice replacement. You can build off that. Does that at least sort of lift spirits a little bit?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, having a fresh face and who's motivated helps. So he's been also stepping up in terms of his comms and IGLing. So he's doing a lot of late game stuff for us, so that helps out as well. Something which we lacked previously. He's been playing really well. Can't really comment any more on that. Shame that we can't go through with him.
I mean, you guys were pretty close. I really do hope to see you freshly shaved soon enough. Hopefully it doesn't get too long a beard. Hopefully it's next week. Best of luck against LFO, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Best of luck in the cast, and hashtag free anti.
A bit of a somber Spruce. We usually be seeing lively, upbeat. Not the case tonight. I think it's more crushing when you're in a winning situation, as they were on Coastline a few times in that fact, than not come away with the win and what would have been their first map win as well.
I think it's also tough for Spruce. You could very much see there, he felt like he knew exactly why they lost Clubhouse. He knew that they needed to win more defenses, and he knew what exactly needed to happen. And I think that frustration of knowing exactly what went wrong, but not being able to change it and just watching that car crash while you're in it, I think that was really the most hurtful thing there for Spruce and for Kanga. That said, they've had so many close games against these teams this season. An 8-7, they've had 8-6s time and time again, even to teams like Okami, so they've got to be proud. I know it was tough, but to move on, you got one more chance next week. LFO, give it your best shot.
We've got our final interview for the night in what should probably be a happier manner. Depture from Ferox. Although, Depture, I'm not sure how happy you would probably be as a team. I know you'd be ecstatic to just get away with the 6 points, but I think as a team, you might feel like you could have played a bit better tonight.
Oh, look, definitely. To be completely honest, we didn't really expect Coastline. We didn't actually prep it as much as we would have liked. So that kind of threw us off a bit. We knew our defenses were our trouble areas, and it showed. We kept on giving away early picks. We're a bit more confident on attacks, but yeah, I think we just needed to stop giving those early picks, and that would have helped us not or have some more rounds up on them.
So Deptra, this was a tough series for you guys, and I mean, right at the end there, you were in a 2 versus 4. Somehow Kanga had managed to rotate and take control of Garage. They were in a position where they could plant. You didn't have a lot of plants at all. You'd failed on that bomb site defense previously, and it's just you and Todd. Run me through everything that happened. What's going through your brain? Because you guys pulled that through, and it was insane.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, it was a 2v4. We're both on red. I'm like, oh, I've still got a nitro. I'll go below. We can't both just funnel red. We had a Valk come on site, which gave me a free nitro kill onto the Zafia. Todd was able to manage to get a kill in cash, I think it was. And then we both ran up red. He went cash side, I went server side. We kind of split up. I got one, and then he managed to get the last. So yeah, it worked well. It was good coordination, good intel from the team. So just really thankful to all the boys helping out.
Deptra, I'm not sure how much you guys as a team or even yourself have looked too much in terms of standings, the mathematics behind being able to qualify for the top 4. Now that you've got the next week to look at really your 2 upcoming matches, is that something that you guys are sort of taking into mind a bit? The fact that you're going to have to sort of get certain results against both Sinister and then LFO?
I mean, yeah, definitely. At the start of the season, we wanted this to be a learning season. We weren't really expecting top 4, but we've actually kind of surprised ourselves by how well we've done. We actually got head-to-head against Elevate, Pittsburgh, Okami. We went head-to-head against those 3 teams, so we end up tied. We actually go ahead. Against LFO and Sin, we're looking to at least minimum get a tie out of each, and hopefully we're going to push for those 2-0s to secure us in that top 4 spot. We're feeling pretty confident going in. We just have to put in the hard yards to get there. So.
Well, you guys have put in the hard yards so far this season. It's definitely paying off. Best of luck next week in both your matches.
Thanks very much. Cheers for the cast, guys.
Well, that wraps up our lovely interviews this evening, Dev, and what's been a tantalizing night of Six Masters action. You know, started off with Elevate and Wildcard. Wildcard just putting on a bit of a clinic and showing why they're now probably considered the best team in the region in terms of actual teams in the region. And then, of course, Ferox 2-0 against Kanga, but the 2-0 doesn't tell the full storyline. Of course, that 8-7 win on Coastline, where Kanga at various times had a couple of match points banked.
And a very close second map as well. A lot of those rounds coming down to dire circumstances. And it was great to hear from Deptra just what was happening in comms in that last round, in that clutch with Deptra and Todd in the 2 versus 4. And, you know, great job, Deptra. He really gave credit to his teammate who gave him the call on that Valkyrie camera. So it shows that Rainbow Six is most definitely a team game, and you need to have a good team to have success.
Well, in the end, Ferox jump up to 5th in the standings. Kanga, unfortunately, still in that 8th position. They'll play LFO, actually, to open up next week's game. So it will be, as I said before, 7th versus 8th once again. Big opportunity there for LFO to sort of be the final team, I guess, to beat up on Kanga, because that will be Kanga's final series. So hopefully for their sake, they find a map. I do want them to get one, at least, by the end of the season. It didn't happen tonight, though.
Yeah, and looking at the standings as a whole, Wildcard, Sinister, I get the feeling that in general, those are the 2 teams we feel are most solidified in those top 4. Remembering that Sinister only has 1 more game to go, though, so there's every chance that Okami, with their 2 games remaining, mind you, they're both they're 2 difficult games. It's Elevate and Wildcard. They possibly might jump back over Sinister. Knights, they only have that 1 game left. It's going to be a toughie as well. So there's still a lot of movement that can happen. We're definitely seeing the rise of Ferox here with that head-to-head victory over Elevate, putting them just in front. And yeah, I mean, Elevate, they've only got that 1 game to go. We're really going to have to be looking for them to absolutely show up next week against Okami and lock out the full 6 points for them to even have a shot at making that top 4.
Well, we're going to wrap things up here tonight for Play Day 11. An amazing night of Siege. Cannot wait for not only next week's Play Day 12, but then, of course, our Super Day after that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've got Six Masters action almost all days next week. Make sure you tune in next week. I've been Xenox, joined by Dev Marta. We'll see you next week.
mind's not mine and it won't forget. But you bring me back from a darkness black as the soul in me and the heart I had for you. It beats for you, it beats again. Oh, you bring me to life. 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 Bring me to life.